this is the Queen of Extreme, Francine, and you are listening to Phil, Jay, and that pain in the ass Choppy on the Turnbuckle Throwbacks.
Deep within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time, the Legion of Doom.
Paul Ellering and Animal right now.
All right, and here we are, Animal and Paul and Animal. No doubt what you folks did to Sting, just unreal, unbelievable. Will you sign a match now? Will you take on Lex Luger and Sting in a tag team match?
Don't take it anywhere! Dusty Rhodes, first things first. Don't you come out here and show the intelligence of anybody. Call it as a backstabber. Your problem is you care too much. We don't care about nothing. You're all helping poor kids. We don't care. You took money out of our pockets. Don't you call us nothing. As far as we're concerned, you just dropped dead. Now Sting, Lex Luger. Yeah, you're in great shape, Sting. You're going against Barry Windham for the U.S. title. Lex Luger's going against the world champion, Ric Flair. He's got to be in great shape, too. Those are two single matches. What you gotta do is you gotta get ready for the Road Warriors. You see, as a tag team, we're in a class all by ourselves. Now, Bob Conley, I heard their interview. They're out there saying they got a dark side. They found a dark side to them. They saw all that the Road Warriors could dish out. We have always had a dark side in us. We have never had to fight it. It has been bred in us. We are violent. We like it. Don't make threats. You can't back up. You want to get in the ring with us? You better be in the best shape of your life.
And Paul, the dark side now, the Warriors definitely coming out. You know, Bob Caudle, the Legion of Doom has never been an organization that never went with anything that didn't pay dividends in the end. Now, Sting, you never paid any dividends. Dusty Rhodes, you paid dividends for a little while. Now you're out the door. Lex Luger, you should have kept your nose out of it. If you want to listen to an old parable of mine, when your neighbor's house is on fire, you get water to save your own. You still got time. You all still got time. Think about it. You're opening up a nest that has been dormant for a little while. In the end, the bottom line is money, and that's all that I care about, and that's all that we care about. All right, fans, the World Heavyweight Champion with Tony.
Boy, he's something else. I don't know a whole lot about him. He's a mystery man.
From Chicago, Illinois, the World Tag Team Champions.
We ain't got no friends, and we ain't planning on starting to have any.
The Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors.
And when it comes to wrestling, you think of the Legion of Doom and the Road Warriors. Let me show you people something. The only thing we like to do is beat people up.
Is he alive or dead? As he thought within his head, we'll just pass him there. Why should we even care?
Military press, easily pressing Sting. Double elbow.
Where you brought the hate into me that I ain't had in a long time.
The Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors.
We back up from no man, our God's green earth. I was back in the hometown, walking around. Me and Animal had a few days off when we weren't fighting. We didn't really like it that way. That's just the way it is. And people say, hey, Hawk, where's your brother Animal? I said, none of your business. He's collecting money.
Vengeance that he will survive.
Hey, go to your body out and say something here. You can smack me, you can slap him, you can slap him any way you want. You can never tell for one thing. We're gonna get right back up and come back in your face.
Just from straight grave, kill the people he once saved. Nobody wants him. They just turn their heads. Nobody helps him. Now he has his revenge.
Broadcasting live from Shaolin, Staten Island, New York City.
Freak Show Central,
Where's that?
New York City.
It's the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast with Phil, Jay, and that pain in the ass, Choppy. On Rant EM Radio, proud member of the Shining Wizards Network and Dark Satellite Media.
We snack on danger, we dine on death, and dead men don't make money. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 375 of the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. As always, your gracious and most humble host, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Rhea. And joining me tonight, the man, the myth,
Shooter McMook,
the legend of the greens, Mr. Big Copper Pump.
Yeah. Glad to be back.
And conspicuous by his absence,
Choppy's a pain in the ass.
Mr. Margassa has the night off tonight.
Yep.
He's
much deserved night off.
He's getting a night off. He's manual labor is finally getting to him. But anyway, we're live on the rantemradio.com. We're live on YouTube. We're part of the Shining Wizards Network, a part of Dark Satellite Media. And we're just a bunch of fucking mooks.
Yeah.
And pretty much how it's going down tonight. We had to flip the script, obviously, for obvious reasons, and we'll get into that later on. We're going to cover some current stuff first. Talk about everybody's week. How's everybody doing?
So far, so good.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty decent week weather-wise here in New York City. It's the weather's changing.
Yeah.
All the kiddies are like sort of back in school. And they're sort of.
Yeah.
So just going through the motions, and I had a day off. I had an extra day off this week because I took off Thursday. I had to do some doctor's appointments.
Oh.
So yeah, but the problem is with my doctors, they don't have Friday
hours.
Right.
Really?
So I have to put in for like days off in advance. But I worked a holiday this month, so I get when you work a holiday at my hospital, you get a day off.
Oh, you get a floating day. Yeah,
So I took the floater for this. I have vacation, and I'm taking Thanksgiving week off this year.
Hey now.
That's like my final vacation of the year.
Senior man status.
I'm like, yeah. And when they approved it, I was like, holy shit. Because normally I have to work. They usually make me work like two holidays a year. So I worked, I think, President's Day. I worked Labor Day. And I usually work New Year's Day.
Yeah.
But because nobody else likes to work. And I really don't do anything anymore anyway in terms of partying and shit like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
So
especially now this year.
My job actually decided to take people didn't take who have vacation time. They're taking 1 week of your vacation time, and you're allowed to roll it over.
Huh.
Now normally you don't get to roll over your vacation. You get to roll over like your sick time.
Yeah.
Right. So people are like, I'm just gonna hold on to it. I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm taking off.
Yeah.
I use up all my vacation time. You know what? Because I took mental health days. I moved. I had a bunch of appointments. Like, I had some medical scares this year. So I was like, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna wait.
Yeah.
And plus I have another week. I have 4 weeks vacation. So
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
a win-win.
No, exactly. I'm the same exact way. Once I get like time, time in the books or whatever to take off, I very rarely ever keep any hours in the bank.
Let's say hello to everybody in the chat room. I see Mr. Jimmy Ferrari from the Brooklyn Blast Furnace. You know where Jimmy is?
I'm over here now.
Mr. Matt Squires, Jamie Sterling, Shaylin, my cousin Richie. Where is Richie's? There it is. Anybody see Richie?
Anybody seen Richie?
I see. My mom was in there before. Mr. Rob Domingo's in there. Miss Fallon Reynolds is in there. Hello, Fallon. Hello.
And yeah, Jimmy had the best photo. I we were talking about on the way here. Like I love that photo of it. Hawk in the ring. It's all action figures. He's holding open the ropes for Animal. I thought that was amazing. Whoever thought of it, I don't know if it was Jimmy, but Jimmy's the one that I've seen it from at least.
Shane Lynn sent it to us too. So
yeah.
Mr. Gordon Post is in the room. Matt Squire said the Divot Kid Jay.
Yeah. the bogey master.
Anyway, Jimmy's on fire, man. And I'm not saying I'll plug Jimmy when he's not in the room anyway, but
yeah,
you got it. Jimmy's been doing big things on the Blast Furnace, man.
Yeah,
gotta go check that stuff
Pumping out content.
Yeah, mad content. Yeah, so give the Blast Furnace a listen. Give all of our network affiliates a listen.
Absolutely.
But we got some really good shit going on the Dark Satellite Media.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and well, like you said, I know we recorded something for the Wizards, but
500 episodes.
We would be remiss if we didn't give them a shout out to on our show at least. 500 episodes. That's
500. We're almost there, man.
Yeah,
we'll be there by next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy said he jacked that picture from somebody.
Yeah. That's well. Either way, I was giving Jimmy the credit. So,
of course. Yeah, we got to get Jimmy on the show, and I told Jimmy that he's gonna pick a throwback.
Yeah,
and come on with us.
Absolutely,
so that's got to happen like soon because the crossover's got to happen.
Yeah,
we have too much in common.
Yeah,
so
absolutely
we'll get that going. We love that. Phil and Jay snacking on danger, dying on death.
Yeah,
dead men don't make money. Dead men do not make money. So we're going to talk about obviously tonight's about Road Warrior Animal.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little retrospect of the Road Warriors. If you've been a listener of the show for years, you all know my admiration. That's Jay's Christmas present to me.
Yeah,
my Road Warriors T-shirt. When I got really upset this week because I'm at a point now where I'm pushing 50. And it's like my heroes are dying way too soon in life.
Yeah,
like if you look at the action figures in front of us set up over here, my favorite 6-man now is officially all in heaven.
Yep.
This week, Jimmy, hit me up. Let's get a date, whether it's in studio or on the camera, whatever you want to do. Just hit us up, and we gotta pick a throwback for you. Speaking of throwbacks, wait, I gotta fill you in. We're planning the Christmas episode this year. And we got to get Matt Squires on the phone too. I got to call Matt like this weekend or next week. It's gonna be a big deal.
Oh shit, I'm with it.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'll fill you in on the details.
On the deets.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. But yeah, let's make that happen. Let's get the Blast Furnace on the throwbacks and the Brooklyn Blast throwbacks.
There you go. There's the name of the episode.
Turnbuckle Furnace.
Yep.
All of them. Yeah. Yeah. So I just I started getting like upset, like even all my heroes, like even some of my musical heroes, and it hits home, man. Like, like, what the fuck, man?
It is like a mortality check. I guess
you start questioning shit, man.
Well, because it's also too like my old man's 60. He'll be 61 this year.
My mom just turned 65 this year.
Yeah, and listen, we'll talk about it later, but like. I assume Road Warrior Animal was in decent shape. I mean, he probably hasn't been hitting the gym as much. Now, chemicals and what have you in the 80s and early 90s, I guess that's up for debate. But for that matter, but he was a fairly healthy guy, unless like I said, it's just a heart attack in his sleep. And it's almost kind of weirdly, connected to Hawk as well. Like Hawk had the same, more or less the same thing. Well, lay down, went to sleep, and never woke up. Like it's a kind of it's a weird, what do they call it? Like a serendipitous type of ending, almost.
I mean, when Dusty died and Piper, like around the same time, it was like, come on, man.
Yeah,
like
this
killing me.
Well, that's this was one that it was more introspective for me, where I was just like, whoa, like this is weird now, because this, Dusty going, Piper going. I remember Robin Williams for me was one that was like, whoa, that's close.
I said this in the car right here. Jimmy was saying he was messaging Animal on Monday to get him on the blast furnace.
Yeah.
So Animal would have been part of the network. He would have been on the show. He would have been either with us or with them, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's fucking profound. And we'll talk about Animal's career, Hawk's career. Listen, there's a lot of ground.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ground.
It was almost scary.
When Jay said he was doing his homework, I was out last night to dinner. Got dinner last night, and then I was telling my friend, I'm like, I said, Jay's got homework. Jay's gonna do, and I'm happy that you took an initiative.
Wow,
I could do most of it from the top of the dome, because I'm a Road Warriors mark.
Well, there's a lot of things.
But there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit to take in. But yeah, man, like when your heroes are dropping like flies, it's like, come on, man, this is not, And even like in music, like Pete Steele and a bunch of other heads, just like people that you were affiliated with, or you knew from acquaintances, or you just followed their band or their careers. It's like, come on, man, this is fucking ridiculous. But
well, it's like you said, and it goes back to what you said, about not rolling over your vacation time. Like that's exactly the reason why.
Yeah, because
you hate to say it like that, but tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Nothing's guaranteed. And I had this conversation with somebody on the phone just before I came here. I was on the phone with someone, and I said, I've been doing more self-care in terms of me personally, like taking care of myself, not worrying about other people like I used to, and fucking, because if no one's gonna do that but you.
Yeah.
And I'm in a doctor's office the other day, and I'm like, this is why we fucking have, this whole, I'm not going to get too spiritual or philosophical on you, because I'll fucking bother you with this, but Heidenreich better be mentioned in this episode. That's my sister Natalie, was one of her favorites.
I was actually going to gloss right over that.
Right over Heidenreich. So these guys were on the road for like 30 years, and it's like they probably abused their bodies. I know Hawk did it more than Animal did, but you don't stop and smell anything. You don't stop and enjoy shit. You don't stop, and I'm gonna stop every fucking time now.
Yeah.
At every exit, I'm just done with. And my doctor was telling me yesterday, he's like, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. I'm like, yeah, and I'm working on that. And he's like, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're working on it, because most people say I'm sorry, or I said, no, I'm not sorry. I told doctor right to his face, I'm like, dude, I'm not sorry for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry for nothing. I am who I am, and I have these ailments because of who I am.
And it's not anybody's fault.
Right.
And dude, that's a hard thing. That's why it was funny. Like, we were saying the same thing with when I got rear-ended a few weeks ago, my girl at the table was like, she's like, oh, this wouldn't have happened if you would have went to my house. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But then again, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't do the podcast. And then this wouldn't happen if I drank my coffee black. You know what I mean? Like this, so you
coulda, shoulda, would have.
Yeah, you can't do so many things. And once you start going down, like you funnel it down, you just go, it all starts and stops,
with you.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the case, if you, and a lot of people want to push the blame onto other people, because it's easier. It's so much easier to do. Oh, this happened. Once you start accepting the blame, I think that's when shit really starts falling down, and actually more or less falling into place, essentially. So that's to me, that's a healthy mindset, because that's where it starts.
And I just want to say this to everybody who's listening, or I know on the download or whatever the case is. If you're this world is very at an unrest right now. It's very, a lot of shit's going on, very terrible things going on in the world. And if you're on this constant fucking, like this hamster wheel of life, do yourself a favor and stop and take a breather and look at things for a second. I had to do this a couple of weeks ago. I had to check myself and make some decisions I wasn't too happy with. But for the long run, I did it for me because I know my health and my well-being are more important than any other situation I'd be in. This is for my son too, who's listening. I know he's listening. He's already checked in with me. But keep your head right, keep your shit straight, do the right thing, and you'll always come out on top. And a life of regret is a wasted life. I had lunch today with a friend, and I was like, I said I try not to live with any regrets. Because then you start, all your losses become life lessons and all this other shit. But when we were just talking about our parents, like your dad's 60. You said my mom's 65. When you're a kid, your parents are like superheroes.
Yeah,
you don't think your mom is gonna get old. Your dad's gonna get old. Like they're like fucking like you want your mom and dad to live. I lost my dad when he was 45 years old.
Yeah,
45 years old. You know what I'm saying? My cousin Richie, my uncle Danny passed away 7 years ago this week, today.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude was hardcore. He had a huge family. You know what I'm saying? But when the head of the household goes, or people go at a young age, like when I lost my dad, man, it was like my world crumbled.
Yeah,
45 years old. He was my age. He was.
I was just gonna say, like that's a weird. That's a weird.
I mean,
place
he was sick, but it is what it is. But the bottom line is you don't realize, how much of a toll your body takes until you
slow down.
Yeah, and I had 2 years ago. I had to slow down. 2 years ago, I had to reinvest my life into back to me. So when I watch these shoot interviews with wrestlers, and I look at their lifestyles, and they're like, dude, all the 80s was excess.
Yeah,
all of it, drugs, alcohol, parties, steroids, whatever they wanted, they had, but they performed at a level that no one else did.
Well, and it's funny. There's actually not a bad segue, but with Taba. I don't think it was last weekend. It was the weekend prior. We watched the Resurrection of Jake the Snake, and I've already seen it.
Man.
And I forgot how we got on it or what have you. And I was just telling her, I was like, you know what I want you to watch? And this was like the first really she's seen some AEW. She used to watch WWE back in the day, and to me it was just like I'd rather her watch the real stuff, the real stories or what have you per se. And she watched that, and the idea of, especially these guys from the 80s, and 90s, and even late 70s for that matter, these guys were, Jake never felt good enough. And I mean, granted, it goes back to childhood and what have you, and that's a whole other story. But the idea of that you're revered by millions, and the idea that you can't look at yourself in the mirror is a weird headspace to be in. And it's crazy to think about, how you can impact, and one small thing can impact so many people, and not really have the concept of going, yeah, but I'm not happy. It's like everybody can always say that. It's like, oh man, I wish I was so and so and such, because I would be so happy. But then again, if you're in that person's shoes, think of how many musicians that Lane Staley, Kurt Cobain, got the list.
Janice, Jimmy,
Shannon Hoon. You know what I mean? The list goes on.
Jimi Hendrix, fucking,
guys,
Jim Morrison,
not happy. Where but what you're doing is life changing, but you're not seeing it from that lens or what have you, which is crazy to think.
Even for the lay people like us, man. When you have a low self esteem, and I said this today again. I was like, you could be told. I get all the adjectives. You're a great guy. You're wonderful. Yeah. You're amazing. You're this, you're that. If you don't believe all of this shit,
doesn't mean shit.
It doesn't mean anything, But then imagine that times a million, like Jay said, as a celebrity.
Yeah,
because you have an obligation to your public, and all of a sudden you lose a bit of you as a person.
Yeah,
you're this other. You're this. I don't want to say facade, but you're like this. You're this other person. He was Road Warrior Animal 24/7 at one point. He was doing conventions and
Yeah.
had a podcast, and these guys sometimes don't want they don't want to leave the limelight. That's all they know.
Well, I think we'll
get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into that later because that's another fascinating aspect of him that I really dove into and I really kind of enjoyed too.
Yeah. So let's see. There's a couple of news and notes. If you could see my the figures in front of the belts. My favorite 6-man is officially in heaven, man. And I brought Dusty and the Road Warriors to show everybody. But we'll get into we'll get into their fucking beef too in a little while. Which broke my heart, by the way, as a 12-year-old, that broke my heart.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I didn't watch NXT. I skimmed through it, like I was telling Jay in the car.
Yeah.
I
mean, like I said, I know. I'm happy to see, Kyle O'Reilly. Because that's going to be a fantastic fucking match. I cannot wait to see Balor against O'Reilly. I mean, listen, there's no way O'Reilly's Balor's losing, but damn, that's gonna be a good match.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm happy that Undisputed Era is making fucking making headway.
Well, like I said, you can kind of see that they're having, there's at least a plan in line. Whereas I was calling the fact of that they were going to do some sort of shenanigans and there'd be a little dissension in between it. But I kind of like the idea that there's not now. Like now it's like, because it is still a solid, cohesive unit, at least for the time being. I think he put up on Instagram today that he was happy for his brother and all that stuff. So, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. Now, Takeover is in October, right?
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So we'll preview that. We're going to preview Clash of Champions. I know people aren't interested, but I'm interested.
Slightly interested
in the SmackDown stuff. I am.
Yes.
I want to see Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and I want to see the IC title.
And the IC title, yeah, obviously. But yeah, and I didn't really watch Raw because I watched
well, listen, truth be told, all I do is just read the Raw results. I'm interested. I'm starting to. Well, I actually had a problem with my cable this week, which it's funny. I didn't record anything, and I don't know. It's like a weird thing. So I noticed it today. I was like, man, how come none of this stuff is working?
When Choppy texts you during Raw,
yes,
I know Raw is bad.
Yeah,
I don't get home till 9:00, so I miss the first hour of Raw all the time, right? So when Choppy texts, and now Fallon's texting me because we go back and forth. She watches it now because she's invested, and I said when Choppy, and I told her when Choppy texts me, I know fucking Raw is bad.
Yeah,
and I saw those people show up, and I'm like, yo, this is not good. Like, and you know what? It's just another attempt to recreate something that's not going to have any substance to it. And we can go, and if Choppy was here, he'd probably bang the microphone.
He'd be banging the mic against his head because here's the idea. They sold us a bag of goods. I think we all kind of seen the writing on it. We knew it was going to be Mia Yim. Not me. Mia Yim.
Dijakovic.
Yeah, we knew. And Mercedes. Who's the other one? Who's the other woman? Mercedes
Martinez.
Yeah, and Shane Thorne and Dio Madden. Dio Madden makes sense in a way.
Well, Shane Thorne was primarily a tag team guy. He lost his partner to injury.
Yeah, I think his partner got released too.
Probably. Yeah.
And in a sense, Dijakovic made sense too, and because of Keith Lee. But that's kind of where it starts and stops. In my eyes, and Dio Madden is just a loosely makes sense. Let me just get that clear too.
Yeah,
because he was on Raw. He was promised a commentating spot. Gets F5 through the table and then was gone. To me, there's something there. It made more sense as I don't know who you would want to put in there, but it just unless they somehow or another beef him up in a sense, maybe there's going to be more players added to it. It's kind of a little bit listen, you got to try to get these guys over, and we'll talk about it later. When you put guys with top guys, they somehow get the rub. I can see it happening, but they need a lot of work.
All right, so here's my question to you, and I was going to present this to Choppy too, and I guess the chat room and everybody else was listening live. You put these people in place, and what Jay was trying to put out to everybody was what Jay's point is basically everybody needs a reason to be in this crew, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that are we on the same page?
Otherwise, why the fuck are you calling it retribution?
Right, exactly. Okay, we're on the same page. So now here's my question to you, okay, and to everybody else: where's the leadership skills? I don't see any of these people as true leaders. So now, guys, we were all talking, and Choppy, and I think Mario and a bunch of other guys were like, well, if they had, my cousin said something too, if they had such and such as their leader or such and such. So my question to you is, do they need a top guy to be a leader to make Retribution credible?
My gut reaction is no. My gut reaction is no, because if the guys...
you're cool. So you're cool with the storyline as is right now?
No, I'm not cool with it. I'm not cool with it because of the idea of you should call it something else. You should call it, shouldn't be retribution. What they did in the beginning was they were causing chaos. They were trying to, cause chaos there and try to disrupt what was happening. That shouldn't be called retribution. I can't think of of an adjective right now for it, but be that as it may, to me, it would help right now if you could also come next week. They could be sitting there saying that there's a sixth person, there's a seventh person, there's a higher power, lack of a better word, who they're carrying out the orders from. That would make sense, and then that's somewhere where you can.
Well, that's my question. Do they need a higher purpose? Do they need a top person?
Well, that's why I said my gut reaction is to say no, but right now, yes, because it's fallen flat, because it's not what at least what it was. I perceived it to be retribution. It would almost make sense that if it was guys that were released, where you're kind of blurring the line between work and shoot. Where
sure.
That would almost make sense to me. But I guess that's and the other side of that would be too predictable, maybe in a sense. But to basically whatever. Long story longer. They need somebody, maybe a talking piece, maybe somebody with a little cred, maybe somebody that's like how Eddie Kingston is in AEW.
Well, here's another point. The Wizards are in the chat room, by the way.
Wizards.
They said Nexus didn't need a top guy, but they made Wade Barrett a great leader.
That is an absolutely valid point.
And to my buddy Neil, who's also in the chat room, good evening, by the way, boys. Thank you for joining us. If you put a big name, they are just his cronies and not a thing on their own.
That's very true.
So there's the flip side of
it. So basically, Dijakovic is he's in Wade Barrett's.
He's Wade Barrett. Basically, right now he is.
I think there's a lot of similarities there. Obviously Wade is far better on the mic, but then again, when Nexus came out, just like the Wizard said, when Nexus came out, we didn't know he was that good on the mic. So I mean, obviously it's still a little early to say to tell, but
the sixth man is Hogan. The roof pops. Matt Squires. It was me, Austin.
Yeah,
it's Mr. McMahon.
Mr. McMahon. Or Rikishi.
I did it for The Rock. That's next month.
But I mean, right now, it's too early to tell. But I don't know. To me, it's fallen a little flat for right now. Like from the stuff that I've seen,
it's just not. I'm not feeling it, man. It doesn't have a Nexus feel to it.
No,
it doesn't.
Nexus came in. They tore the ring apart. Choking Justin Roberts and tearing apart the set. Like that was cool.
These guys are.
This is close to it because they were doing stuff backstage. But like I said, Nexus. They were new guys trying to get a spot. These guys, Retribution. Like I don't know. Like it just, I don't know if I wanted it to be released, guys. Maybe that's probably where I'm coming from. Deep down inside, I wanted it to be that, but or maybe I wanted a Ciampa up there.
I think a lot of us wanted somebody else on there because it falls flat. It doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah.
And like the Wizards just said, they're a bunch of whiny jack-offs. And
Yeah, it's kind of coming across like
and
that.
It hasn't built well. It's like a bunch of disgruntled employees at a factory.
Yeah.
It's like Fred Flintstone telling his guys, listen, if you don't move those fucking dinosaurs,
Mr. Slate, yeah.
let me tell Mr. Slate, I'm protesting. I'm not going to get on my dinosaur. I'm not going to move those rocks or those boulders. You can go kiss a dick.
You know
what I'm saying?
But like I said, I love that. That's such a great point because Nexus coming in, Dijakovic is a close. I think he's more athletically sound in the ring. Wade's probably a better talker per se, but it's Dijakovic still got a lot of time to prove it, and he could be like, okay, watch this next.
Yeah, something intriguing has to happen in terms of them. They have to either make an example of somebody important. They have to make an example of somebody important. That's first of all. Okay. Second of all, they can't come off like jack-offs. Like you know what I'm saying? It's an overly aggressive job squad, Matt Squire says. So, but they need, this is how you fix it. This is like the quick fix, right? You beat up somebody who's important, whether it's an announcer, of an authority figure, somebody who's important to WWE's day-to-day operations, right? Then or a legend. You beat up Randy Orton or a Big Show or anybody, Natty Neidhart, anybody who's old at this point in the fucking Fed.
Yeah,
that's how you fix it. And stop pissing him on like you work in a fucking Subway and disgruntled.
Because it kind of does come across as disgruntled.
Yeah, of course.
Where Nexus came in and they were trying to make a name. Like
right.
These guys are saying, but I listen, it's still got a little room to play with, but I do love the stuff that they're doing with MVP. Cedric
Alexander.
That's
the best thing on that's the best thing on Raw.
Yeah, I seen something.
Even Sloppy Lashley, I'll tolerate.
Yes, it's unbelievable right now. Like it's like okay, great. You guys are finally doing something good.
Shaylin saying Triple H is behind Retribution. Why? I love Triple H, Shaylin, but tell me why Triple H would involve himself in that. He has no reason to. He's second or third in command.
Well,
he runs NXT. Like there's nothing wrong with he's not disgruntled.
Yeah,
he's got to be disgruntled for him to, that's why that's why you want like a Ciampa or somebody who's been looked over. Even like John Cena would make sense.
Yeah, in a sense,
because he's like, hey, I'm out here doing the whole thing. I'm a figurehead. I'm doing movies and commercials and shit. But I'm trying to come back. You guys won't let me.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And I can see that. I can see
that actually wouldn't be that bad,
right? But there's got to be a reason why. Like Jay said, you call it Retribution. Okay, why? Give me tell me. You guys know I'm big on this shit. Tell me a story. Give me a good story. Why would you be involved in that?
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk would be another guy. Hey, I left, but you know what? Now I'm coming back, and it's a whole different ball game, and whatever.
Treating me like shit, and I'm gonna come burn the place down.
Yeah.
Here's my new cast of guys,
right,
something like that.
Exactly. So you need to
loosely, yeah.
But I mean, it would make sense. It wouldn't make sense, but WWE goes that route. But that's the thing, Shaylin. Don't try not to invest in try to be a fan and invest in the story, even though we don't like what's going on. From this perspective, try to make it right.
Yeah,
try to make it right.
Pay it off correctly.
Right. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Don't be a bully. Do the right thing over here. I'm over here now.
I'm over here now.
But they like I said, stuff like that, and listen, even like I said, they turned Roman Reigns heel. So I mean, obviously Cena ain't coming back anytime soon. But I think it leaves it open.
Matt says it would have been great if Barrett came back as the leader instead of making him an announcer. If Malo Ronaldo didn't quit,
I think,
and the NWA wasn't on hiatus right now, because that's what he was doing.
Yeah,
it would have been perfect, and Matt's perfect, 100% right. Because he could have like redemption.
Yeah,
it could be McIntyre.
Yeah,
McIntyre, Sting, maybe. Ooh,
huh? But
he didn't get it. Listen, they brought him back, and he did not get a nice run.
No,
he was supposed to. They tried, but that'd be cool too. But can you imagine if it was McIntyre?
McIntyre would work.
Like you guys brought me back. I'm the champion. Fuck you. I still don't like what's going on.
It'd be a great way for him to turn heel.
That's what I'm
It'd
saying.
be a great way for him to turn heel.
But there's so many ways you can fix it. We can armchair quarterback this till as long as the day is long. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just it like you said, it falls flat.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. I'd rather watch shitty Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And I'm watching a ton of playoff basketball right now and hockey and trying to get the Mets into the fucking playoffs. So I'm really I can care less about Raw at this point. And it's hard for me to watch Raw. And I adore pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I watch wrestling all the time. It's a hard watch for me.
Yeah.
It really is. You want the 3MB reunion, he says. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that, Rob. I'm not mad at that at all. I think McIntyre would be great, but that's just me.
That's actually like you said, that'd be a great way to get him to go heel.
But then you got to get him an adversary, though. WWE has to come. See, that's the thing too. If you're gonna do that with a made guy, you got to come correct and bring the opposition. Yeah. Well, and they don't have a lot of fucking star power right now.
No. Well, I mean, you got Keith Lee, who you got to put, but now they got nothing for him. It almost seems like
Keith Lee, Kevin Owens, everybody else is a heel.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, Aleister Black, the hurt fucking business. Like it's just, all these. There's more heels than faces on Raw right now. And speaking of SmackDown, you want to?
Yeah, let's run down
Clash of the Champions real quick, and then we'll do
Well,
I got some New Japan stuff.
Oh yeah, the G1,
and I want to talk about Josh Barrett for a second.
Yeah,
and because we got some really cool news today. Let's see. Let's scroll down to the beginning. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Come on. All right. Raw Women's Championship. Asuka defends against Zelina Vega.
I'm happy to see Zelina get a shot and wrestle. She's obviously excellent in the ring. But Asuka, come on, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Although, listen, that'd be a great way to upset.
Listen, handily.
Yeah.
Vega's nowhere in her fucking league. Nowhere in her league is no disrespect to Mrs. Aleister Black. All right. SmackDown Championship, the Lucha House Party versus Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, I don't see the Lucha House Party winning the fucking titles.
No, not from them. There's no way.
I do see a title change in this next match, though, Jay. Raw Tag Team Championship, the Street Profits against Andrade and Angel Garza.
Unfortunately, the Street Profits have been the same thing. They've just been a little, dormant in a sense. But I think it's also becoming the no fans. I think that's what it is. The excitement to catch up to them that they're not performing in front of a crowd. I think it's starting to come across on the TV screen per se. I don't know if I'm just looking too far into it. I love the Street Profits too, by the way. Montez Ford is just a star. But yeah, I agree. Angel Garza, this guy's a star of the future. Andrade, same thing. It's about time we get him a little gold, get him, cohesive unit, and then break him up later on.
Women's Tag Team Championship. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax defend against the Riot Squad. The Baszler and Nia Jax will continue that for a little while. The U.S. title, Sloppy Lashley defends against Apollo Crews. Sadly, I see Lashley retaining. I hope Crews wins, though.
I hope Crews wins because then that leaves Lashley open to go to the, go against Drew or go against Orton maybe, because although the Hurt Business is kind of tweeners right now. And I don't see Randy Orton winning. I don't know. That's gonna be a hard one, but to me, I'd like to see Lashley go for the big belt. That's where he in my opinion, that's where I know I'm the Bobby Lashley guy of the trio.
You're definitely the Bobby. No one else likes him but you do. But that's fine. That's why we have you on the show.
I mean, he's up there in age. I think MVP is just a little bit older than him, but he needs a good run. He needs at least one run.
The next match might steal the show. The IC title ladder match. Jeff Hardy defends against AJ Styles and Sami Zayn.
This is hard. Only for the sense of it, and it's just hard for me because like Jeff Hardy just won, so you can't, take the the gas out of the tank just yet. But God, Sami Zayn needs this, in my opinion. He needs this. He needs to win. He needs to be this cocky, annoying fucking heel. They need that.
Fallon says, it's okay, Jay. We still like you, even though you're a Lashley boy.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sami
Zayn for the win. Absolutely.
He needs it. He definitely needs it.
All right. Your next match is an ambulance match, which is a little disrespected to me, but I'm sorry. Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre. Sadly, if they're going to have McIntyre lose the title, it's going to be to some kind of fucking technicality.
Yep.
And I think this is where Randy Orton finally, no rules, got to go in an ambulance, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And, it might be like a short run, but I see Drew McIntyre losing the belt and getting it back either at Hell
in a Cell,
Survivor Series, or even at the Royal Rumble, or winning the Royal Rumble for the title shot at Mania again. But I think Randy Orton's gonna win. This has nothing to do with me not liking McIntyre. Because McIntyre has been a good champion.
It's just been bad luck.
Another guy who needs a fucking crowd. Seriously. But Randy Orton is a perfect opponent for him right now.
Oh yeah.
Right? If we agree. But if Randy Orton's gonna win, it's got to be some stupid like this.
Yeah, it's got to be some sort of a gimmick match. It's got to be some sort of like you said, a retribution. Costing them or something. Something along those lines. But I want Drew to win. But if there's a time to take it off of him and try to reboot the system, it would be now. So I like I said, I can swing either way on that pendulum.
Chat room is live. Shaylin says, Jay, we need to have a conversation about your
Lashley?
support for Bobby Lashley.
I don't know. I've always listened. His work and impact was really, really good. And like I said,
you're entitled, man.
MVP is for somehow or another.
Love MVP.
MVP.
I love Shelton Benjamin.
There's people that are charisma vacuum. Somehow or another, like MVP is like a charisma intake. He's taken in the air and he's exuding it through the engine better, if that makes sense.
Hammer says you're a savage, and he made a little and he put a little gift there for.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Hammer said you're a savage. AJ and Hardy do not need a title. Gordon says I agree.
Yep.
Gordon, good call. Matt Squire says ambulance matches stink.
I agree.
They are. They're disrespectful to healthcare providers.
I agree. But listen, I guess you gotta have something. But they already have a ladder match. You don't need another gimmick match.
Listen. As our friend Kyoko would say, Phil, everything gimmicks. And I said, Kyoko, life is a gimmick. And she said, everything gimmick, Phil. Yep. Everything gimmick. Shout out to Kyoko, by the way. Okay, so your Universal Championship. I'm looking forward to this match. Like I was telling you before. Roman Reigns. I love heel Roman Reigns. Fighting Jey Uso for the title. Cousin versus cousin. Real life shit. And he's got Paulie in the corner.
Yep.
This is going to be a great match.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. I think I hope it goes like, for some reason or another, like the championship matches haven't really been too long. So I hope that this goes, somewhere 15, 17 minutes. Like tell a good story. Give Jey Uso a glimmer of hope.
He'll give Jey Uso a good 15, 20 minutes. And then AJ and then Roman Reigns will win.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm loving heel Roman Reigns. There's such a great backstory with Heyman. It's already built in, So to me, all you do is you just keep this wheel rolling, and finally getting the fans to care about Roman Reigns, even though we care now to hate him like that, and just that's it. It's actually making me care about him instead of just looking like, oh, here he comes again. Now it's gonna be like, ooh, let's see what happens.
Exactly. Hammer says, Booby Lashley. Hashtag bring back Leo Rush. Fallon says Keith Lee should come in and fuck up both Randy Orton and McIntyre.
I mean, that's what, and I agree with Fallon because now you got nothing.
Hammer says Roman gets run over. I did it for my son. I did it for the people.
Oh my God,
that's awesome.
He is far too young to be doing that.
That's my son. That's my son. That's why he knows.
He
didn't just get this personality overnight. He hangs with greatness. That's what I'm saying.
But I agree. What did Fallon say? I forgot now.
Fallon said Keith Lee should come there.
How does Keith Lee have nothing on this pay-per-view? I mean, granted, I understand Clash of Champions,
but Fallon's at a point. If Keith Lee's going to do anything in this pay-per-view, he's coming in to fuck these dudes up.
Yeah.
Which I'm not mad at that either because I'm a Keith Lee guy. We all know that. We're all Keith Lee guys.
Yeah.
Matt Squire says Uso in a championship match is like the Butcher versus Hogan at Starrcade. It's fucked up. I got to disagree with you, Maddie. I got to disagree with you.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Shaylin says, look at the lineage of guys that Heyman managed from that family. I'm not mad at that either. He managed. He has a reputation of managing Samoan savages.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. But, all right,
savage.
Yeah, he's gonna puke. Yeah, get that gook. No, you can't say that, sir.
Yes.
Damn it. Where's Paul? All right. If you guys have not been watching G1, and I know Matt was talking about the other day on the Wizards. If you're not watching G1, what the fuck are you doing? G1 has been fantastic.
Killing it.
Friday morning, they had the B block matches. The main event was dope. Naito beat Zack Sabre Jr. Goto beat Sonata. Yano won again. He beat fucking Tanahashi.
There you go.
This is insane.
I love the Yano G1 luck.
I know. Juice Robinson looking like a beat up fucking Blues brother. He beat Kenta, which was a great match, by the way. Oh man, dude. And I'm a Kenta guy. Evil beat Yoshihashi. No one cares. And here's the A block points right now. The A block. Jay White has 4 points. Taichi has 4 points. Will Ospreay has 4 points. Kota Ibushi has 2. Minoru Suzuki has 2. Okada has 2. Jeff Cobb has 2. He took a loss to Taichi the other day.
Yeah.
Takahashi the Pimp, he has no points. Ishii has no points. And the Dragon, my boy Takagi, has no points. B block. Naito has 4 points. Yano has 4 points. Juice has 4 points. ZSJ has 2 points. Kenta has 2 points. Goto 2 points. Evil 2 points. I said Yoshihashi has none. Sonata has none. Tanahashi has none. Sunday morning, the 27th. Here are your matches. Taichi versus Takahashi the Pimp.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Cobb versus Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, yeah.
Kota Ibushi versus Tomohiro Ishii. Will Ospreay taking on Takagi. And your main event, Kazuchika Okada versus Jay White. Switchblade.
Switchblade going at this type of thing where you see some of these matches and you just go, there's no way you could keep it. It's amazing how granted it's happening now later in the year, but they really are. I haven't been paying too much attention to it. I've been catching some of the feed.
Oh my god!
And then going back and then watching it, but like I said, to me, I love the Yano stuff. I just, granted, it's not going to go anywhere, but I sense, I don't know why. I don't know if it was Choppy that put it up about Ibushi or somebody put it up that he had the promo where he's like, oh, I don't want to be a wrestling god. I want to be the god. Like this type of thing where and
he's won it already.
Yeah. And and to me, I'm like, ooh, heel Ibushi? Oh, I'm listening. I don't know how that can happen, but
he goes heel to what faction does he go to though? That's the thing too. He's not gonna go Bullet Club, obviously.
No.
And he definitely, and it would have to be Suzuki Goon.
I was just gonna say Suzuki Goon
because Chaos really isn't a fucking heel faction,
but
anymore anyway.
But even if he just stays like a lone wolf type thing, because he says he wants to be a god. Like he doesn't. He said capital G. Like,
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that, bro.
So
I'm not mad at that.
He said he's got 2 points for right now. To me, he's the man to watch. I think he can do it again. But like you said, time is still early. God, it's still early.
Yeah, it's got almost a month, but
yeah,
I'm telling you, there's nothing but fun here.
But I'm glad that they got the Gaijin there. I guess Cobb has been staying over there, or did he?
Cobb, according to Choppy, he said that Cobb definitely re-signed with New Japan.
Yeah,
there was rumors of him going to Impact and or WWE, and because WWE wanted him really bad, and he said no, he went to New Japan. And listen, if it's maybe they got a plan for him. Maybe he may even win it. You don't know.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much.
Well, there's been a Gaijin that Kenny Omega, right? Kenny Omega,
a couple of Gaijin won G1. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. But I think the last one was Kenny Omega was the last Gaijin to win it. There's been a couple of repeat winners. There's a whole.
Well, that was my next question.
You can look it up. There's been a bunch of them since the early '90s. Any news and notes? Do you have anything else before we go to break?
The Bloodsport.
Jeff, so Josh Barnett, I think it's October 4th or October 11th.
No, October 11th, I think.
Okay. So we all know our love for Staten Island's own, the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson, part of Evolve, part of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, part of many of the independents here in the Northeast, tours with Japan. He's been on the show. He's a friend of the show. He's a great dude, very amazing drummer.
Yeah.
A retro gamer. Him and Choppy are swapping stuff all the time. We genuinely love Chris Dickinson. Like we're big fans of him personally and professionally. He's got a match. He was supposed to fight during WrestleMania week against Suzuki.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. And even then we thought that, he's fighting Suzuki, so we know they got him fighting fucking Moxley.
Yeah.
Okay, now this has nothing to do with me not liking Moxley because I hate.
It has everything to do with you not liking Moxley.
Okay, listen. This is if John Moxley wants to win my affection for a day or maybe a half a year, he should. He has no reason to, obviously, because he's super uber over with everything. He's very popular. He's a champion in IWGP. He's a champion. He's a world champion in AEW. Yep. He has no reason to put this kid over, right? But can give him an opportunity. Chris Dickinson needs to be on TV.
Yeah,
not just not independent wrestling web, streaming devices, not underground
YouTube, Beyond Wrestling,
YouTube or fucking underground Japanese feds. Chris, and this is genuine, and Chris knows that we love him, we support him. Chris Dickinson is a phenomenal talent, and I'm not saying that because he's our friend. I'm saying it because we believe in Chris. He should be. His entire crew is on TV right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Pride. Pride
and Powerful.
Those are his people. That was Team Pazuzu.
Yeah.
It was him.
Minus Pinky and
Jaka. But like, if Dickinson escapes dying from Suzuki, he'll die from Mox. My son says. Here's the thing, though. I don't think Mox has the fucking moveset that Dickinson does.
No.
Mox is a hardcore wrestler. He's stiff. Right?
But listen. So we glossed over AEW, and the match between Kingston and Moxley was off the chain.
It was off the chain. It was well deserved,
chain.
And we did overlook it. I forgot.
And like I said, and much like we said, Kingston, you can insert Dickinson's name, and it would be the same. It's the same narrative. He needs that. Like now, Kingston has that role. Well, one, he's the best talker in AEW, hands down,
100%. Next to MJF.
Yeah,
they're neck and neck. I think I like Eddie Kingston more because he's a New York guy.
I like it because he's more
hood street.
He's more entertaining. Yeah, he seems more real. Then again, MJF is more dickish. So like it is kind of funny.
MJF comes off condescending but on purpose.
On purpose,
Where Kingston, it comes naturally.
Yeah.
Good point.
And Kingston had a. So anyway, where I'm going at long story longer again. Dickinson is going to get the rub from Moxley just because of the notoriety.
Even if he loses,
I'm gonna hands down.
He's not going to die, Hammer.
I think Dickinson's going to have to. Obviously, he's not going to be able to do maybe full on Dirty Daddy stuff, but I think Moxley is going to listen. That's the one thing about Josh Barnett. I think he's such a fan of pro wrestling, such a fan of the sport of pro wrestling. I think guys do this out of respect for him, and they know we all have like the same kind of feeling for it. So I think Moxley's going to go there with the right intent.
Hammer has a quote from MJF. It's not a gimmick, it's a lifestyle. That's Turnbuckle Throwbacks, buddy.
Yeah.
It's not a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
I like I said, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see it.
Even if he loses, which he probably will, because they're not going to book him to beat fucking Moxley, who's a champion everywhere else, right? Chris Dickinson, this is his time. He's got to come correct.
Yeah.
And Mox has to give him at least a 20-minute match regardless, and let these two dudes kick the fucking snot out of each other, legit. And I'm not just saying that because I don't. It's
well, Dickinson did time in CZW, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he fought Mox though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It might have been too. It might have been too late.
But like, come on, man. Joey Janela got the same type of rub, and now he's got a contract. And I'm not saying Joey Janela is better than because they're boys.
Yeah.
You know, in real life they're friends too. But like, if Joey Janela gets the rub from Jericho. You know what I'm saying? Moxley can do the same thing for fucking Dickinson.
I think so. I absolutely think so.
I'm not saying Dickinson won. I'm sorry. I'm not saying Moxley won. I'm just saying, like, if this is the time, this has to be the time.
Yeah.
Chris Dickinson should be getting a major contract after this match.
Well, like I said, and that's what I mean, you know, and how did AEW go off the air, you know, this past week? It was Kingston on top of Moxley.
Right.
So like, and it just shows you right there where, especially, I think like a year or two prior, Kingston was thinking about just hanging it up because,
right,
you know,
he had to sell his tights to pay his mortgage.
You know, he was thinking about hanging it up. He goes, it hasn't happened yet. Me going anywhere.
Right.
I know he did a little time in Impact, right?
Yeah.
Kingston.
Yeah.
You know, so like he was definitely he's due for it. And much like, and that's what I'm drawing the comparison from Kingston to Dickinson. I think it's the same thing. A lot of the stuff, and we're going to talk about it later with Road Warrior Animal, actually the Road Warriors in general, like it's just timing. And a lot of this stuff is fucking timing.
This has to be the time. If Dickinson's gonna showcase anything remotely good in his career, and he's had him and Brian Cage, he's had some amazing matches in Japan. I can't say enough about Dickinson, right? But if this is gonna be the time, it's got to be now. This has got to be the shit right now. And then at the end of the year, he's got to get a contract somewhere.
Well, like I said,
this is how I feel. I mean, you know, so.
But hopefully, like I said, hopefully he does. I do want to circle back to AEW really quick.
Yes.
Like I said, Kingston's promo, fucking on top of it. It was just unbelievable. And the match in and of itself with Moxley was great. I love the new cat that they got, Will
Hobbs.
Yeah, Will Hobbs. Looks like they're really trying to get him over. Yeah, you know, still got to see what's going to happen.
It's the Big E.
You know, it looks
like
Will
E.
Yeah, Willie. And but I like that whole that whole idea. I'm still looking forward to Lance Archer against Moxley. I'm still looking forward.
They have a story too.
Yeah,
in Japan.
and so like that stuff I want to see. Cody Rhodes came back.
Whatever.
Black hair, Cody
That's
Rhodes.
Fine.
You know,
Brody Lee is still TV champ. I'm like,
yeah, but they are gonna have a dull collar match, which I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, if it's done right.
Yeah, I think it will be.
If it's done right,
I think it will be. And
if it's Ivan Koloff-ish, then I'm in.
If
it's Kevin Sullivan-ish, then I'm in.
I still love heel Bucks. Heel Bucks is killing it right now.
Heel Bucks when they were Bullet Club.
Heel Bucks for the win because they took
They
Tony
were great as heels
Yeah.
in New Japan and Ring of Honor.
And it's like the same thing where like, you know, MJF is like the overt dick where like these guys are like, you know, subtle about it in a sense.
They smashed Giovanni's phone.
Oh, great. And FTR, you know, what can you say about him? Tully's there. It's AEW's firing on all cylinders. I think it is a good alternative, and but especially, you know, the highlights to me was just Kingston coming out just calling Moxley a sports entertainer. You know, and he said how he was, you know, it was just really done well in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm saying. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, I'm set up for the second part of the show. Let's take a quick break. I have to make tinkles, and we want to plug our friends, and then we have a nice little retrospect for you. So, guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Chat room is hopping tonight. Thanks for everybody checking on YouTube, on Randy and Radio, and that's pretty much it, man. We'll be right back. Let's plug our friends and come back and kick some ass like we always do.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Okay, let's give this a try. The Shining Wizards is a funny wrestling podcast. No. The Shining Wizards is an insightful wrestling podcast. How about this? The Shining Wizards is a great wrestling podcast that airs live Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantemradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app. Of course, it's available on all podcasting platforms. I think that covers it. To check us out, go over to shiningwizards.com and get ready to join us for some wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
I don't know. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in the rain.
In a world where Hollywood tries to tell you how to live while doing the exact opposite, where fresh ideas are tossed away for a cash grab reboot, where the media has become nothing but propaganda and freedom is traded for what they tell you is security and safety, there is Inconclusive Breakdown, your weekly look at current events and entertainment with no political correct BS. Just news and uncensored opinions everywhere you get podcasts. A proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Horns up, beautiful motherfuckers. Radioactive Metal is here on the Shining Wizards Network, and we want you to listen.
Every week, we cover the world of heavy metal and speak to your favorite bands.
We discuss new releases, concerts, controversies, and everything else that's related to heavy metal.
And occasionally, we even talk about pro wrestling.
Catch us live every Thursday night on purerockradio.net.
Listen to past episodes at radioactivemetal.org or at shiningwizard.com.
And remember, it's not metal unless it's radioactive metal.
Hey, this is Mike from the Midnight Jury. When you're done with this show, join my co-hosts Adam, Cal, Sydney, and I every Friday as we travel back to the last old school generation of the 80s and 90s to review the best and worst in pop culture, horror, and occasionally pro wrestling on WLWstudios.com or the Midnight Jury feeds on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Player FM. Go back in time when it was all about VHS, arcades, and hanging out at the mall. And remember that every second Saturday of the month, we go live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rant EM Radio, which includes taking your calls. Once again, that's the Midnight Jury on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Player FM, and our home, WLWstudios.com. We'll see you there.
This is Ed Zara listening to Phil, Jay, and that pain in the ass Choppy on the Turnbuckle Throwbacks. How you doing?
Rush.
All right, we're back.
It's got to be.
He's a Staten Island guy. Like you guys.
No, I agree.
He's an Islander. Like
once I believe Nick German is the one that put it up.
Yes,
on the page
Nick German
first.
did put it up,
and I was like, "Oh, hello, here we go."
Yeah, and then Chris posted. If you go to Twitter, at Turnbuckle Throwbacks on Twitter, I reposted. Chris made a video. He was like, "I'm not saying this because I do all my work in the ring. I don't really work on it. I don't really cut promos.
He's not a promo guy,
but I'm telling you right now, like he cut a promo, and I'm like, okay, if Chris Dickinson's cutting a promo, shit's getting serious. So we'll talk. I want to try to get him on the show again.
Yeah,
before October 11th, I'm going to reach out to him. And sometimes he listens too. So Chris, if you're listening, please reach out to me. I don't think he lives on the island anymore. I think he lives out.
I think it's Boston.
He lives up in New England. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chris, we're rooting for you.
Hell of a drummer too.
Oh my God, he's heavy. He's pretty heavy-handed too. You know. Anyway, all right. So there's no throwback tonight. Obviously, it was supposed to be really shitty WCW.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Fall Brawl from 2000, which we're not doing.
Thankfully.
And ironically, Choppy says we would do an audible anyway. We would do something from Smoky Mountain, and then when I was about to present these guys with a Smoky Mountain taping, Animal passed away.
Yeah. And it was funny because like you kind of, I think Choppy was the one that I don't know. I forgot where I heard it first, and I was like, oh shit. And it kind of did cross my mind before you even said it. I'm like, maybe we should just do something like dedicated to him. Like do, like you said, like a full, try to do a full career retrospect. And I was like, I really like that, the whole idea. So like to me, we were just thinking that we were all thinking the same exact thing as soon as it happened.
Right. And if you missed at the beginning of the podcast, you can get on a download. I did like a 8-minute tribute to Road Warrior Animal with a bunch of, he cut a heel promo after the turning of Dusty Rhodes and Sting. So you can listen to that. And we're gonna just talk some Road Warriors right now.
Yeah.
Animal retrospective, number 1, the importance of Rocco. You know who said that, right? Matt Squires.
Matt Squires, yeah.
Of course it was Matt Squires.
I can't wait for a face swap now with Rocco.
Christ on a cracker, help us all. Christ on
It's the reason why Hawk left in '92.
That and the London chapter of the Hells Angels.
Yeah.
But all right.
But it's funny. So I was touching on it before. It really is going to be kind of funny because you're going to hear two different, I'm going to say far different perspectives, because you obviously full blown 80s, Road Warriors fan, where I came in the 90s, and I had to go back and obviously, like, this past few days I've been just kind of binge watching a lot of stuff. I've never seen any of the Japan stuff. I watched quite a few things from Japan, which was awesome. And so like to me, that was even more fun going back to see it. But like I'm looking at them as the WWF watered down Legion of Doom. That's why, like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, I love that music. But meanwhile, to somebody like you,
yeah,
you're like, no, it's got to be Iron Man. It's got to be the bass drum.
Oh, Phil Ray, a fun fact, in 1985, like I said, when I was a kid, we didn't get NWA regularly. If you didn't have cable, you waited 6 months in advance. 6 months behind, I'm sorry. So we didn't have WTBS.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anybody in my neighborhood with WTBS till like 88, 89. And I didn't have it on my block. I didn't get it on my block until 90.
Yeah.
So I was going to friends' houses and watching Superstation every Saturday.
Yeah.
And Hawks basketball and Braves baseball and just anything on TBS I loved.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't like the teams. I wanted to see Dominique and I wanted to see the Braves and all whatever.
Yeah.
They were hot at the time and they weren't a rival to the Mets yet, you know.
Mhm.
So I was I'm watching with my Aunt Sue. I think my Aunt Sue, hopefully, Aunt Sue likes to listen. She's a big wrestling fan from back in the day. And I heard,
yeah,
I'm like, okay. And then the music kicks in. They come in the ring. They beat up the Mulkey brothers, right? And I didn't know they were the Mulkey brothers then, but the song goes, and you still hear the song as it's playing. You know, this is before Sandman and New Jack. All right, the song played till half of it, then they almost played the whole song, and I heard Ozzy, obviously, and I knew who Ozzy Osbourne was. He wasn't my favorite yet, but he was one of my guys I knew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, it's Ozzy. My aunt's like, no, it's Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's Ozzy. She's like, no, it's Black Sabbath. And I'm like, fuck is Black Sabbath? And she's like, stop. And she pulled out all her and her brother used to smoke weed and they used to roll their weed out on the album covers. So she pulled out Masters of Reality and fucking
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. And ever since then, I was hooked on Black Sabbath. So if it wasn't for the the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, I would never know who Black Sabbath was.
And it's funny, like, you know, that inter, you know,
and Ozzy wasn't even in the band at that point.
Yeah, that was
Dio.
Yeah, this was Dio.
The 85 was Dio and who's
that 85 Dio was already out of the band.
Right, so it was Glenn Hughes, right? Who's the third singer?
Ian
Gillan? Ian Gillan, right? Ian Gillan, yeah. Sorry. So
maybe I think Ian Gillan might have been Tony Martin.
It was Tony Martin, Ian Gillan, Glenn Hughes, right? And then
Glenn Hughes a singer?
I think so. And
he was a singer in Deep Purple. I know that. I didn't know about it. Listen, as far as I know, my brother-in-law might have been singing in Sabbath at one point in the 80s.
Yeah, so it was like a rotating thing. But all those guys were out of the band by 85.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was mesmerized.
Yeah,
I was fucking mesmerized.
Well, that was going to be my first question to you. Would have been what? So what was it? It was obviously the face paint, the mystique.
The beating.
Yeah.
It was nothing else, Jay, but the beating.
Yeah.
And you didn't hear a promo yet.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't hear the promo. They came in. These guys didn't even get their fucking gear off.
Yeah.
And it was like they came in like gangbusters. And then here's Paul Ellering, and he's got this safari jacket on, right? And he's got the Wall Street Journal in his fucking hand. And I'm like, what the fuck am I? I was mesmerized.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I was an aftermag kid, so I read about the Road Warriors, but it was like, okay, whatever. They were. This was 85. They started in 83, so you think this is Georgia, and at the time they were in the AWA.
Yeah, 85. Yeah,
and they just came back to Mid Atlantic in 85 after they left the AWA. So it was like this is their first run back.
Yeah.
And then now the reputation was gained.
Well, I don't want to gloss over.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you my timeline.
Yeah, my timeline. Yeah,
getting into the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
No, but I like because that was one thing I didn't really know. I mean, I knew that they had time in AWA. I know that they won the championship there, but to hear the stories about guys coming in. So like obviously, to put a little synopsis behind it, like Vern Gagne, AWA in the 80s, wasn't setting the world on fire, but he was doing all right. But Vern always pushed the shooters, the collegiate wrestlers, and the guys that can actually go. And these guys came in, and and Vern pushed them more or less kind of right away. And like we were saying about like going against the Bruiser and the Crusher, like all of a sudden just going in there and having that same style of match, like they were jobbers, like in a sense, like when they would go out in the Mid-Atlantic, as soon as but before the bell would even ring, just start clubbering the fucking guys. These guys started every match the same way, and they were heels, but they were cool fucking heels. Like they were the first, kind of cool heel. This was almost, and like I said, this is a little bit before the Horsemen, where Horsemen were like
they were the first. They were like the coolest. They were cool too. Yeah.
You know, like everybody always wants to say the Horsemen were the first cool heels. You know,
you could say the Freebirds too.
You could say the Freebirds as well. Yeah, you're right. You know, it's a toss up at that point. I forgot
Just
about.
Depends on where you lived.
Yeah, and you know that's what was kind of cool. And one of the good stories was that you know, I think it was 85 where I told you about the match I seen with Henning and Baron von Raschke, where it was just a fucking riot. A riot ensued.
Well, let's. I want to go.
Oh, you want to go to the beginning?
I want to scale back a little bit because Animal went to Georgia before Hawk did.
Yeah.
Right. So Animal they were bouncing in that club.
Well, it was
Minnesota.
actually interesting. I wrote it down here. It was think about this club and who's bouncing at the club. You got Road Warrior, Animal, Hawk. You got
Scott Norton,
Rick Rude, Nikita Koloff, Barry Darsow. What a fucking! Are you shitting me?
All legit athletes.
Are you shitting me?
Like Barry Darsow was like a champion power lifter.
Unbelievable. Yeah, like
Scott Norton is a champion arm wrestler.
Yeah, and literally would bend, like I'm telling you, would rip a phone book in half.
He probably did.
He probably still can do it.
I love Scott Norton, man.
And like you said, like you talk about that, and they got trained by Eddie Sharkey. Where Eddie Sharkey was a bartender there.
Never went in the ring.
And that's funny too. Like they said, like his claim to fame is that he trained Jesse Ventura, which Ventura's fucking god in Minnesota. He might as well be. And so they pressured him, and it was a hard ass boxing ring and all this stuff. And and then like you said, they get the call. I think Ole called Rick Rude and said, "All right, we want to bring you guys down first, but Animal was the first one to go." And I don't think he was managed by Ellering then, right?
Ellering, a team he had in Georgia.
He had
Matt Bourne and Arn Anderson.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say.
Maniac Matt Bourne, who you guys know from Mid-South, and Tony Bourne, second-generation wrestler, a.k.a. Doink the Clown, a.k.a. Big Josh, a.k.a. fucking, what was it? They were the Rat Pack in Mid-South.
I was going to say the Rat Pack. Him, Duggan.
And Duggan, yeah. But they needed a replacement for him. They brought Animal in.
Well, I know it's up in the air why he was fired. It was personal reasons, his attitude, drugs, whatever, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah. But Precious Paul forms the Legion of Doom. Meanwhile, we got that from Super Friends, which is amazing. And it was the Spoiler, Jake Roberts, King Kong Bundy. So the Spoiler goes to Canada. Yeah. Vince gets This is now Vince 84, 85. Vince is cherry picking all his people, and Jake the Snake leaves to go back to Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now we're the Legion of Doom, and these three become the Legion of Doom.
But it's like they're the Road Warriors, but they're still considering themselves
the Legion of
Doom.
They would call themselves Legion of Doom, and they were so menacing looking that they were given the NWA National Tag Team Championship in their debut.
That's okay. That's something right there.
Without paying any kind of dues, okay? Yeah. Without going to the road, they walked in as champions. It was unheard of.
Yeah.
And pissed off a lot of fucking people in the 80s.
Wow.
A lot.
And you want like I said, you want to say rightfully so, but it's probably something where Ole...
Yes, Hammer. Matt Bourne was Doink.
Yeah. Whereas Ole could see the attitude that these guys had. Like, they weren't just body guys. Like, these guys, they trained and what have you. But their attitude probably behind the scenes, this is before they got really huge and everything. But, like, they probably had the right attitude. But these guys came in with a massive amount of steam behind them.
But not only that, they developed a quick reputation of being stiff and not selling because their matches didn't last more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward that to 84, Vern Gagne brings them into the AWA. Now, Vern has been, Vern was probably one of the worst promoters in terms of progression because he was a guy, he protected kayfabe.
Yeah.
He was very regional and he had a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
and he was very well respected because he was world champion. But, like, the deal is, though, it's like when you got guys that here now, I was telling this to Choppy last week, the AWA had some established tag teams.
Yes.
They had the Crusher, Jerry Blackwell. They had the Crusher and the Bruiser. They had Baron von Raschke and Larry and Kenny. They had the Fabulous Ones, Steve Lane, Steve Kern.
That's a fascinating story too.
Right, and we'll get into that in a second. But they had established tag teams. So it was like you bring the Road Warriors in, who were national NWA tag team champions. Now it's like, okay, they beat them in their debut. They beat fucking Crusher and Baron.
Yeah,
like this. But the squash matches, like you said, they were the first cool heels. They weren't supposed to be the heels because you had heels. You had the Fabulous Ones who weren't heels. I'm sorry, you had the Freebirds there who were heels. You had the Baron and Crusher were heels at one point, but this was Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
not Steven.
What's his
Mr.
name?
Electric.
Yeah.
Mr. Electric, Steve Regal, not Steven Regal from William Regal. But him and Jimmy Garvin, even though they beat them for the titles, because the Freebirds defeated, but then they had the big Wrestle Rock match at Comiskey Park.
Yep,
with the Freebirds.
Yes, and that's when the Freebirds came out with the face paint.
The stars
they
and
had
bars.
right. And and like I said, and that's like the other side of it too. Like we were saying, these guys, be that like you're saying that they're coming in, and like I said, they won the belts and all this stuff. But guys looked at them and they go, "Oh, we're making money with these guys." Like they knew. It's like, yes, you pissed off a lot of guys. You pissed off a lot of guys with because they're coming right in. Because like I said, they came in at the top. They came in as soon as they debuted. They're on the top of the mountain. But the difference is that they built that mountain to go higher because they had so much fucking fire behind them. So much, like, literally can come in, and what do they say? Pop the territory. They can come in, pop the territory, and then go somewhere else. And then starting in 85, they started going to Japan and all this stuff. And like I said, and just like right before we get to that, the Fabulous Ones, I love this story with it was in the DVD where they didn't want to do the job.
Or they walked in, they were not going to do the finish.
Yeah, we're not doing the finish.
And they're like, what? We're not doing the finish.
Yeah.
And they destroyed Steve Lane and Stanley and Steve Kern.
Yeah.
And Vern Gagne lost his mind. I haven't had the finish changed on me in 30 years. Well, now you did.
Yeah. Like, and it's funny because, but it's, and a lot of this is we're going to keep going back to it. I guarantee, and it's funny because I don't know if it's been said. Obviously, we all know what Ellering did for these guys. Like, and I don't think it's gone understated. I don't think. I know Animal's always forthcoming with that, but like, it is without a doubt. Like, he's the reason why. Listen, the guys worked hard in the gym. They worked hard in the ring. They made the towns, whatever. But Ellering is the reason why they have the psychology of what they had in the ring.
They go to Japan, right? And they fought Japan's top team.
It's Ricky Choshu and
no, it was Killer Khan and Hamaguchi.
Yeah.
Now Killer Khan and Hamaguchi were like, they were the monster. They were the Godzilla of fucking tag teams at the time in all Japan. Dude, they beat them in under 4 minutes.
As soon as the bell rings, Animal goes for a gorilla press slam on Killer Khan.
I posted their debut.
Yeah.
And they portrayed them as monsters.
Well, they were following them around the States for like months before that, filming vignettes, filming them in the gym, filming them on the streets of New York City. Like they were building them up for this big debut. So they were coming in, same exact thing in 85. I don't know what it is. It's once again, it's going back to this timing thing where they literally just, it's right place, right time, the right guys, these guys, and they were friendly already. They got trained together. They were bouncers together. So like these guys had the right mentality of like, and then once you start throwing the money in front of them, they go, oh, this is what we have to do? Okay. And then, like you said, that stuff with the Fabulous Ones, they're going, listen, we're here to make money. Like that's, we're trying to, and they were protecting their gimmick at that point. You're talking 85. Nobody's touching these guys. Nobody is I mean, they've very rarely ever sold a move at this point. They still, the match with the Freebird at Kaminsky Park, it was a great match, but it wasn't a back and forth, battle. It was
Put it
was
this
a
way.
fight.
Put it this way. When the Road Warriors didn't pin somebody, the match didn't end in a pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
It was disqualification. It was a count out. It was a no contest. It just, and they built this reputation of being bullies, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, as an 11-year-old, I can care less because they come in and they were like, I've never seen this before. You have to understand something. I'm going to Madison Square Garden. I'm watching the Hart Foundation, the
Yeah.
Killer Bees, the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I'm watching Stud and Bundy. I'm watching Volkov and Sheik. I'm watching the USA Express, Rotundo and Wyndham, or Rotundo and Spivey at that point.
Yeah.
Because Wyndham came back to Jim Crockett. But like
Strike Force.
Yeah. But that's before Strike Force.
Oh yeah.
But I'm watching like the Wild Samoan, the tail end of the Samoans.
Yeah.
Like I'm I'm not getting anything remotely close to what these guys were doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Japan at that point.
Yeah.
And nothing. You
Well,
know?
and like I said, these guys come into Japan, and I mean now, let alone money, that they're getting paid, and then they're getting just a monster fucking push. And like I said, once again, this is that AWA Minnesota connection. Brad Ringens, is another one that had a huge tie over there, and these guys were led in that way. You got guys like Stan Hansen.
Bruiser Brody
that were extending that olive
Snooker
branch.
was going there for a while.
And
like a lot of guys Jim were going there.
And
Andre was going.
Spivey was another one. And so like they're going there, but they're going there and they're getting over. Once again, they're coming in as heels. That's the funny thing. They started off as heels, but people loved them. And they just literally adored them because like they were coming in. It was entertaining for 3-4 minutes. Like I said, the match with Killer Khan and Hamaguchi, it was 8-9 minutes. But like I said, within the
4 minutes.
Oh, sorry. But within
5 minutes.
Within the first 10 seconds, Animals got Killer Khan over his head in the gorilla press slam. Like that's unheard of
in Japan. Yes.
In Japan,
guys don't leave their feet in Japan.
Yes,
at all.
And that's
not at that time anyway.
That's what shows you, And then I think then later on they had Choshu and Giant Baba. I think they
Saruta.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think it was Choshu and Jumbo Saruta. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then they had a match with Giant Baba. Like these guys were they were literally pushed to the fucking moon. And listen, and they were pushed to the moon, and they were able to sustain it because they were able to take it and accept it for what it was, and use it to their advantage.
They started using just scale back a little bit. They started using Iron Man in the EWA.
Yes,
okay,
85, yeah,
85, yeah. So,
and but same thing. They were playing Iron Man in Japan, Then
yeah, and then there's different variations of it.
So then now they come back. So now come 86. Is it 86?
86. April of 86. They went. They entered the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tournament. They won it. They beat Ronnie Garvin and Magnum TA in the finals.
Yeah,
and this is now they're going into the Great American Bash, and the Russians were hot.
Yep.
And as well as Midnight Express.
This way, like I said, and then they're fighting, the Russians, who it's Ivan Koloff, and now it's Barry Darsow.
And they had Ivan Nikita. And
so now you're going back into that familiarity. Like guys, we work together. Like
the Russians were the top team. They had beaten the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah,
who had beaten the Totally Non-War thing, and it's just only about a year, but they were the tag team champions,
and
they were a hot team. Midnight Express were tag team champions because Condrey. This is before Stan Lane.
Yeah, so that's what's going to bring me to my point with It was what, Starcade that year? 86?
86 was the Skywalkers, the scaffold
this is
match.
Right before, right before the match, a week or 2-3 weeks prior, the Midnight Express left the Road Warriors laying. So now you're talking the first time in
ever
that
they were laid out.
They were finally, somebody got over on them. So now it came, came down to it where you go, holy shit, like somebody's going to actually beat these guys. Meanwhile, they've lost in the past, but it's always been some kind of shenanigans, some kind of shit or whatever. But now these guys are legit just laid them out.
They laid him out, and then they go to Japan for a tour.
Yeah.
And now the Midnight Express are like, we laid out the Road Warriors. And this was a big, now, like Jay said, this is a big deal because no one's done this before. In the 3 years they've been a team, no one's even got them off their feet.
Yeah.
Remotely.
Yeah.
So now it's like, and they laid out Ellering with the fucking, with the racket.
Yeah. Loaded racket.
They filmed this promo of them throwing pumpkins off a scaffold with all the names of the Midnight Express and Corny on them. And the Road Warrior promos were just as this. It was Animal telling you what they were going to do, Hawk emphasizing what they were going to do, and then Paul Ellering just trying to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
That was the promo. There was nothing slick about it. There was nothing brilliant about it. It was just the way it was. It was brilliant because it was from the cuff. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Wasn't never
scripted.
rehearsed.
Yeah,
Wasn't
never
scripted.
rehearsed.
Correct.
And you could tell. Truth be told, Hawk was the more charismatic one. He was the one that was better on the mic in a sense, because he would always have these weird. Excuse me. He would always have these weird things that you would make you say, like, what is he trying to say? Like, is he trying to say something without saying it? Where like you said, Animal is just more straightforward. Animal was just telling you like it is. I'm going to tear you apart. This and that. Hawk would have the great lines,
The one-liners,
make you think. And then Ellering had a very, very, very rarely. I shouldn't say very rarely, but he would come out of. He would raise his volume a little bit, whereas Hawk and Animal were always loud. Ellering was always precise.
Yes, Shaylin, you heard that on the DVD.
Yeah.
That Hawk wrestled with a broken leg.
Yeah.
He fractured his leg in Japan.
Yeah, and
Animal taped it up with the medical tape. That's a known story.
That's great. And
Matt Squire says the Road Warriors are tricky because on one hand they never sold anything and smashed everyone, but on the other hand, the few times they did sell, they put people over, made that team huge.
Yeah.
And the Midnight Express became World Tag Team Champions after that.
Yeah.
So it's not far-fetched. So there was a method to the madness. It's just a matter of what fucking mood they're in.
And that's what I want to kind of get at is I think once again it's going back. I'm going to keep saying it. It's the perfect storm of everybody. You got Ellering, you got Dusty booking. So Dusty's saying, "Baby, listen, you guys aren't selling shit. I'm
gonna make you the big team here. You ain't selling nothing."
And then all of a sudden, 3 years later,
my brothers in paint.
Yeah, all of a sudden, 3 years later, they're going, now you guys are gonna sell because we're gonna make these guys big. And it's so funny the foresight that these people had, and something like that. Like, and then I think 86. I think they went to. Did they go through Memphis already? They might have went through Memphis. Whereas same thing. They're fighting Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. Jerry Lawler picks up Hawk for a pile driver. Hawk, he hits him with it. Hawk no sells it. This is Jerry Lawler in fucking Memphis with a pile driver. Hawk is no selling it. That's how everybody knew somehow or another these guys were stars. Like it's a real amazing thought about it. Like how everybody really just had the wherewithal to go, listen, whatever these guys want, let them come through and all this stuff. And then, like I said, come 87, they're making great money, because now you're talking about a two-way deal. They're making money here, they're Jim Crockett, and they're still doing their shit in Japan.
Yeah.
I don't think they did New Japan yet. They were still doing Baba.
They didn't go to New Japan until like 87.
Yeah.
After they won that NWA international tag team title.
Yes.
They lost in New Japan to Chono and Muda.
Yes. That's right. That's
And
right.
that was
Young Chono.
And that was a big deal though.
Yeah.
Chono was like the up and coming young boy who became, and him and Muda were like a thing.
Yeah. And then now we're coming into, your favorite six man. We're coming into that era, right? That's 88,
87,
80.
Yeah. So they form. So now it goes like first they did with Dusty and Nikita. Nikita went face. They fought the Horsemen and did the whole War Games thing, and that became a thing.
Well, and then like I said, I'm sorry, Ged.
And
And I was gonna say that's another part of it is like a lot of this stuff isn't televised. You talk about the Great American Bash tours in '87.
Yeah.
You know, like, and these guys are drawing houses, making money. And they were a team. They were main eventing everywhere. This is unheard of and then, like you said, you know, I know Cornette always says it, like with the Midnight Express, like they were, you know, two guys and a manager, but they would treat it as three pieces of talent. Ellering and these guys were the same exact thing. They were the trailblazers with that. Like, because I don't, you know, we're not going to talk money. I don't know what Ellering made, but I'm assuming it was on par because he had to bring these guys in. He arranged their travel. He arranged their
finances.
Amazing.
They helped start the Zubaz.
Yeah, by the way, I'm wearing the
Zubaz.
I'm wearing the Zubaz tonight, and
I actually gave Fallon my Zubaz pants. I had Minnesota Twins.
And you know, like, to me, it's, you know, he was a true definition, much like JJ did with the Horsemen as well. Like, it's the truest definition of a manager. Like, he really made sure that these guys were there and everything.
Yeah, so they were world 6-man tag team champions twice with Dusty Rhodes. And then and while that was going on, they started a few with the Powers of Pain. Where they had there was a powerlifting incident where they cracked Animal's face with a weight, and then Animal had the hockey mask for a little while, you know, or whatever. And then Powers of Pain left. They didn't want to fight. They were booked against Warriors in the scaffold matches, a series of them, and they didn't want to do it.
Well, because I mean, if you think about it, you got four guys that are near. I mean, listen, Hawk's what, 280, you know, 275.
Yeah,
you got guys that are this big. Who's taking a bump off the top of the scaffolding?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Only
like,
two teams have done it, and even they didn't want to do it.
You know, so like to me, like that's the only thing that makes sense. Like, of course not. Who's going to do that? I mean, the Powers of Pain, you know, were massive. I mean, they were just as big as the Road Warriors. Like, yeah. I'm not talking popularity. I'm talking about size.
Of course, yeah. And they had number one Paul Jones, their manager.
Yeah,
he had a heel stable. All right, so in '88. The unthinkable happens. In summer of '88, the fall of '88. I'm sorry. The Road Warriors, they turn on Dusty Rhodes, and they were still 6-man tag champions, and they take his eye out with Animal's spike.
With the spike, and
it starts a thing where they turn heel, and they want the world tag team titles, but they're still 6-man champions, so they can't be 6-man champions. They turn on Dusty. Dusty recruits Sting.
Mm-hmm.
They attacked Sting too.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fought. Who they fought on Clash of Champions? Dusty fought Animal on the Clash of the Champions to pick their part. If Dusty wins, he could have picked two partners.
Yeah.
If the Road Warriors win, they picked Tenryu.
Yeah,
as their 6-man.
Because I remember I said that to you. I was like, how did they get Tenryu as?
Well, because they were wrestling him, and Tenryu was like a top guy in All Japan.
Yeah.
So in October of '88, they finally won the World Tag Team Champions from the Midnight Express. But here's the problem. There was Dusty was the head booker. Dusty was fired as booker.
Yeah.
Because during the episode where they jumped him in November on TV, and I remember this because they X'd it out.
Yeah.
They jumped. Well, when they TBS didn't want any bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
They attacked Rose. They gouged his eye out before Starcade, the whole 9 yards. They didn't want they jumped the Midnight Express.
No blood. Yeah.
Right, and they did it twice.
Yeah.
They did it with Dusty, then they did it with the Midnight Express.
But it was, you know, and the promo by Dusty after getting his eye out was out of this world. You talk about a man who was so committed to his I guess you want to say character, but just so committed to the art of it. Like you could just see the passion. He believed it. It was. Like I said, I always say remarkable, but like it was absolutely remarkable.
Do you want to play the promo?
Yeah, if you could pull it up.
I mean,
If you could pull it up, it's a thing of beauty.
It's one of my favorite Dusty promos
because he was literally just it's all passion.
Okay, let's do it. You know, it's a Road Warrior retrospect that has a lot to do with it. So
yeah.
In his eye! He's put the spike in his eye! He is jabbing him in the eye, or has with the spike. He unhooked it from his shoulder pads or whatever it was, and he's jabbing into Dusty's eye. He's
It's funny
Dusty
how
up.
they blur it out.
This is sticking that spike right in his eye. The Road Warriors, they are trying to blind him. They stuck that spike right in his eye. Rhodes is bleeding. But you can hear him screaming, Tony.
It's so great too. JR on the call.
Pain. And you know, Jim Ross, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was that maybe his great career has come to an end. So there it was, and it happened just last week right here on the Superstation. And fans, as you know, Dusty was taken to the hospital. David Crockett went with him, and we were all concerned about his career. Well, Dusty Rhodes is not a man to stand idly by, and like Jim Ross said at the top of the program, you're going to hear some comments from Dusty Rhodes, and certainly exemplifies the meaning of Starrcade's true grit. Right now, let's hear from Dusty Rhodes.
This is Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. I've been doing a lot of thinking here the past few days. There's something more involved here than winning and losing. Maybe even more than a career. Maybe even more than a legendary athlete, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. I've been battered, I've been beat, I've been scraped, and I've been cut, brother. I've been cut like a knife in my heart by many, many things. But always I got on my two haunches and rised up because I am the American Dream and conquered all and came back from all of this. It's just a little bit too heavy, Road Warriors. You should have made it a point to get both of them, Daddy. Don't just get one. Don't take one limb. Don't take one heart. Don't take one ear. And don't take one eye. Because I'm breathing. That's the scary part for you. I'm breathing. That's the main thing for you. I'm breathing. You got to live with me breathing, baby. When I get up in the morning now and look out of one eye at my children, I think of you. Now the world title at Starrcade, we gonna take that. But I'm gonna take just a little bit and a whole lot from you, Road Warriors. And between now and then, if Sting has to carry me on his back down that aisle, if he has to drag me in a wagon, I'm breathing. You understand what I'm saying? You should have got it done. It's violence for the sake of violence. And now I will turn it around to my violence, my lightning bolt, my fire, my thunder. An eye for an eye.
Yeah, that's that. You talk about fucking passion. That's remarkable, and the visceral hate from the crowd to the Road Warriors now, because now you got to remember the Road Warriors were somehow or another portrayed as heels, but the crowd loved them, so they rode with it. And the only way you got to do it, how else do you turn heel? You find your biggest baby face and you fucking lay him out. And that's exactly what Dusty did.
It's ironic that they went face again real quick and lost the titles to the Varsity Club.
Yeah.
And then they stayed until like 90. But that at that point,
well, they had the thing at Capital Combat.
Well, they had Future Shock when they fought the tag team tournament.
Yeah,
so they had a bunch. They had the Chicago Street Fight with the Skyscrapers in '90.
That was with Sid and Spivey, or was that Mark Undertaker and
and Spivey.
Yeah,
and Sid Vicious. They fought Halloween Havoc. The Thunderdome.
Yes,
they fought Spivey and Sid Vicious.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
Skyscrapers.
And like I said, so like after this was like their last massive feud in WCW, and then they lay dormant a little bit. They're still going to Japan at this point, but and then come early 90, that's
they wanted to go.
Animal tells the story that he had a guaranteed contract with Crockett. So him and Hawk, they go to Vince's house, and I think I heard this on who's it? Hannibal. I think Hannibal did a career shoot with him a few
Hannibal
years ago.
TV. You talking about? Okay.
And I told you I don't mean any kind of disrespect to Animal by any sense, but like he has a revisionist memory sometimes. I think a lot of chair shots, a lot of
Ask Conky Tonk man about that.
But he was saying, but he said he had a guaranteed contract with Crockett, and he lays it on Vince, and Vince gives him the whole, well, we don't have guaranteed contracts, blah blah blah, this and that. But he said he left for a little bit, and he said he had a wide open was the merchandise numbers for Piper, Hogan, and he said he just left it out on the table like it was a plan. He planted it there, and he says the numbers were just fucking tremendous.
Yeah, can we make plastic shoulder pads? Of course you can.
Yeah.
Could we make dolls? Yeah.
Yeah.
Put you in a video game? Yeah.
But I think this was around 88 or 89 maybe. I or maybe even earlier, maybe 87. I'm not sure. But, so anyway, they signed with, Animal tells it's actually a great line. He goes, we don't have guaranteed contracts. We give opportunities. And then Animal goes, well, I can't pay my bills with opportunities. And that's a great way to look at it. And but anyway, so then come 90, I guess they go knocking on the door again. And of course, at this point, Demolition is there. And everybody,
Barry Darso again.
Everybody's, I don't know. I guess I can see it because it's the loud music, the face paint,
Powers of Pain too.
To me, that's where it starts and stops, man. I don't look at Demolition, and maybe because I'm a little bit behind, and I was there for Demolition, but I was young. I didn't notice it.
I loved Demolition.
I don't see
almost as much. I love the Road Warriors.
I was gonna say, do you see them as a Road Warriors knockoff?
Nope.
I see them. I see
because they actually wrestled.
Well, that's where, and then it's funny because that's what Animal. He says, they actually know how to work.
You had Barry Darso who can really work.
Yeah.
But then you had Bill Eadie,
who
the mass superstar.
Yeah.
Who was world renowned and it almost past his prime at that point and still working. Those guys
at a high level.
At a high level, those guys wrestled. So it was with the face paint and the spikes. Yeah, was there or not? I mean, they call them pretenders to the throne, but there's nothing. Totally different.
In my perspective, I can differentiate the two, but I can see how everybody gets it.
Of course, yeah.
But then come 90, Vince signs them, and now everybody's waiting for the Demolition Legion of Doom, match, Road Warriors match. We don't, but then they come in as a Legion of Doom. And what is it? It's SummerSlam 90.
They helped the Hart Foundation. Yeah.
We did that this year.
That fucking crush.
Yeah. And and then that started that and what have you. But excuse me. But there was a few, like I said, there's a lot of potential there. Hart Foundation. You had the Rougeaus were gone by this point. I'm trying to think of like workers.
Yeah, the Powers of Pain. You had a bunch of teams there.
Power and Glory.
The Power and Glory had the Killer Bees still lurking around. You had the tail end of the Bulldogs.
And
you had a bunch of teams there. You had Young Stallions. You had Strike Force.
No,
Can-Am
not
Connection.
90.
Can-Am Connection, maybe.
No, not 90. No.
There's a bunch of teams.
Yeah,
it was.
But
either way, you had the Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys, which is honestly one of my favorite matches. So then. They start feuding with Demolition a little bit, but it as fast as the feud started, it stopped right away. Now, I think there's a lot of debate why it did and didn't. To me, I just think it's something as, at the time, people did see it as, a Road Warrior knockoff. And to me, it kind of, as soon as the Road Warriors came in, it kind of cut the legs off of Demolition because they weren't as pushed now. They weren't as easily seen because now they go like, oh, it's almost like Vince did go, I don't need you guys anymore. I got the real guys over here. So like I could see where everybody gets that. But to me, Demolition should be considered its own entity.
I think everybody played a role at that point. But when Vince, now you're bringing in the team.
Yeah, the team.
And you couldn't have. They had the Modern Day Warrior. They had the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
So and I'm surprised they were looking back at it now. I'm surprised they got to use the Legion of Doom name because the Legion of Doom was technically a comic book reference.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
But DC Comics they didn't trademark that.
Yeah.
They just had Ted Knight narrating it. Meanwhile, the Legion of Doom, but it became and now at this point I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm in high school now, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I was.
This is where I noticed them, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, once again, didn't know much about them, but like I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I think around this time is when I started getting old Aptamags. I forgot how. The only thing that makes sense is that it had to be yard sales. That's the only thing that made sense.
A lot of comic book stores too. I don't know about here, but in Queens and Brooklyn, a lot of comic book stores sold magazines too.
Yeah,
old magazines.
But I'm talking. I had stuff from 86, 87, 88.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, whoa. And I think like it was like known with if my mother or my aunt went to a yard sale, they would see the Aptamags, the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and
the Wrestler, Inside Wrestling.
They would get me that one, be like, oh, look at this, and I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Still to this day, if I see an old like Rolling Stone, I have to thumb through it. And but then so this was my introduction to them, and I just remember being enthralled by them. And then, like I said, they were part of the machine. They were the foam fingers, the foam shoulder pads, the wrestling buddies.
At this point now, I mean, we all know what happens after this. Like, it's
come 91, they win the belts
from the Nasty Boys.
To me that's one of their best matches in WWE. At this point we probably would be remiss if we didn't say Hawk was going through. He was living life in the fast lane. A lot of money. They Animal has said that there was money issues at this point a year in. Not that there was guarantees thrown out, but Vince more or less said to him, like, guys, listen, you can make as much here if you work for it. And that they were selling merch and all this stuff, but Animal kept saying it was 100,000 less here, so. And then he said that Vince gave him the whole, well, you guys are a team. Like, I can't pay you as a single, you got to cut the money in half. And if anything, that shows you Vince's outlook on tag team wrestling. If you ever wanted to realize, how he was, that would be it. So then anyway, excuse me, Hawk was, living life fast and loose at this point,
Yeah, so
partying hard, getting caught, pissing dirty.
They leave after they beat the Nasty Boys for the titles, and at that point they were the only team to win it in all three top promotions in the 80s, right? They lose,
which is a huge deal, and that and if you really look at it in perspective, it's not, I mean to jump
and Japan, by the way,
that's a huge thing. These guys went around in the territory system and literally left their mark everywhere. That's an unbelievable thing.
So they lose. They lose to Money Inc. Like Jay said, Hawk's now a mess. They leave the promotion. They come back briefly WrestleMania 8.
Yeah,
with Rocco, with Ellering and his dummy Rocco, but they were supposed.
I
like that name better than Freckles though.
Yeah, I love way better than Freckles. I love that promo.
It bombed though. Oh, the promo!
I love that
with
promo.
The train, yeah.
We and Hawk at this point, and Animal too. Animal too was really coming into his own, but Hawk was just on a different level. Hawk got it. And they did the same exact thing. And, they had a good 92. Then come SummerSlam, I mean, it's honestly one of the most iconic entrances, at least in that era.
Oh yeah, when Animal burned himself.
Yeah,
because Hawk couldn't park the bike properly.
Yeah,
He got off the wrong side of the bike, and the boot melted to his leg.
Yeah.
Oof. And he wrestled like that.
And they say that Hawk was all messed up at this point and
hooked up with the Hell's Angels.
Yeah.
in
He
London.
just him and the Berserker, John Nord. John
yeah.
Nord's another name, by the way, that was part of the Minnesota crew.
Yes.
And
Huss.
He like I said, apparently missed his flight back to the States, stayed in England for X amount of time.
Yep.
And so now at this point, Animal is trying to finish his book dates.
Yeah, so he would team up with Crush, and then him and Ellering and Crush teamed up. Then they turned Crush face.
Yep.
And went with the Shaka Bra. They beat the Beverly Brothers. They beat Kato and Skinner. Ellering, like I said, he joined Crush Animal in some 6-mans, and they by the time they returned to the States, Animal and Crush started doing singles matches, and that didn't last very long. Animal left because he had a back injury.
Well,
the Beverly Brothers injured him in a match.
They said it was like a double suplex, and they say that at this point, the Lloyds of London wrestlers were starting to get hip to this, and they go, oh, this could be my way out. Like, I'm not saying he took advantage of it, but after this, Animal did have a substantial career after he getting hurt or what have you. So, look into the lines wherever you want to look into, that's what I'm saying. But at this point, 92, they're disbanded.
They broke up, and Animal couldn't fight.
Yeah.
So he had a back injury. Hawk was still messed up. Here's where it gets really fucked up.
This is where it gets dicey.
He goes to Japan, and he grabs a mid-carder at the time, who's now he's former U.S. champion, former everything. But at the time, Kensuke Sasaki was a mid-card guy. He just got right
at best.
And he gets the fucking... And he basically takes Animal's place, and they're called the Hellraisers, and he's Power Warrior.
Yeah.
They not only does Hawk fucking go to Japan, but he leaves Baba.
Yeah.
And goes to New Japan.
Yeah.
And that was going to Baba, leaving that was almost like WCW and WWE. WWE,
not as bad, but yes.
In Japan, it's a big deal though.
Yeah,
because when guys did it, especially when Guy Jin did it,
yes,
it was disrespectful.
Well, but you always had a lot of guys that went. I mean, listen,
at the time, this didn't really happen.
Yeah, well, Dr. Death was that he was the one that I always used.
Well, Doc and Gordy basically stayed in All Japan, but Hansen did it, Brody did it. A lot of Guy Jin did it. When they did it, it was really fucking dicey.
Yeah,
because Baba was like, you didn't go to Inoki.
Yeah,
like Inoki and Baba didn't like each other at all.
Yeah,
and that's why they formed New Japan, because of what happened with. And that's another story. That's another podcast.
That's another great thing to get into.
They go to New Japan, and they fucking win the titles.
Yeah,
from Tony Halm, which is Ludwig Borga.
Yeah,
and of course Scott Flash Norton.
Yeah,
but then again, he beat him again for the titles when Norton teamed up with Hercules. They were called Jurassic Powers.
Yeah, so
at that point, Norton was a 2-time champion with 2 different partners. He was IWGP champion too at that point. And they wrestled a bunch of tournaments. Then they finally was in the Super Grade Tag, which is now the World Tag League. They lost to Chono and Super Strong Machine.
Yeah.
Who was Super Strong Machine? I want to say, hold on a minute. It was
That's beyond me, yeah.
Harada.
Oh, okay.
He was Harada. He was Super Strong Machine.
And then this is where Animal feels hurt, basically disrespected. Like,
and they used Hellraiser by Ozzy Osbourne, by the way.
Oh, great song. By the way, I even love Motorhead's version of that better than Ozzy's version.
Yes, I agree.
And that's what I call Tabor's daughter's little Hellraiser. So I put it on. I'm like, hell, I look at it, whatever.
Right.
That's another thing. But so now Animal's feeling disrespected by this. On stateside, he sees what's happening. Listen. You can use your judgment at this point. Animal has to make Hawk has to make a living, but a phone call should have happened, regardless of whatever it is.
I mean, you're a team at this point for a long time. Over 10 years at this point.
So now, but what we do have to say is what this did for Sasaki is it just escalated him.
Oh, he becomes champion. Like
It escalated.
He comes to the States. He
and
becomes
this-
champion in the States.
And this is
he
what
was
I was
WCW US champion.
This is what I was saying. Like this is where you put somebody with an established guy. This is where it works for you, and it worked in Power Warriors case, and I think Animal only did some things. Remember, he was in Full Brawl '93. Like he did some things. Like he wasn't wrestling, but he came to the ring. But basically he lay dormant for 3 years. Hawk was going through his things or whatever, and so come '96.
Yeah. So the next half of this. I don't want to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But this reminds you like the ending of Goodfellas, where Henry Hill gets
Yeah, because it's really kind of now it's spotty at this point.
Yeah, they come back WCW. They feud with the Steiners, Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
Luger and Sting, and then there was an alleged contract dispute with Bischoff.
Yeah.
They bounce. Bischoff doesn't recall it. He says it's bullshit.
Yeah.
They go to WWF. They go back to they do bookings in Japan and shit. They come back.
they're still doing Japan.
They always stay in Japan. They come back. They fight the Headbangers, Nation Domination, Team Canada.
They had a great. I listen. And this is when I really was into wrestling. I really was full in, and I'm like, oh, I remember these guys. They had a great feud, in my opinion, with the New Age Outlaws, which once again, made
the
Outlaws who they are. Like, remember at this point, the Outlaws were considered in '98, '99. They were considered one of the greatest teams to happen.
They are the greatest team.
And listen, and the Road Warriors have to have claim for that because they put them over massively. Shaved their mohawks, like all this stuff happened.
Yeah, and then LOD 2000, which
listen, you got to try to go with the times. That's all you can really kind of say about that. Is like you got to try to roll with the times at this point. And they tried something. Listen, they put Sonny with them. Anything you could do with Sonny, in my opinion, I'm on board with.
Yeah, so Sonny's in there for like a hot minute, and then they bring Draws in, who earned the name Puke. He's gonna puke on Monday Night Football. They were involved in WrestleMania with Patterson and Briscoe, Shane McMahon. They challenged Jarrett and Owen Hart before Owen Hart passed away.
So now this is where it gets, and then they start doing the weird. Hawk's off the rails at this point, essentially.
Yeah,
and they start integrating real life with TV, and and. It's a weird place to be, whatever, however you want to look at it. But, I know from the DVD Animal, he wasn't in support of it, but, he did it. Listen, I'm here. They were doing the right thing. They were trying to make Draws somebody. So, and, Draws fit in at the time, I think in retrospect, I think in hindsight, it doesn't fit as much as I thought it did at the time, but that's just my opinion now. But and then they did that weird angle with Draws on top of the Titantron and
pushed Hawk off. And while this is all going on, they leave WWF. I'm not going to get into all of it, but they go to All Japan again.
Yeah,
they team with
Johnny Ace
against.
I love this match.
Akiyama. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's on YouTube. Oh,
send it to me.
Yeah,
it's my hero Kenta Kobashi with Hakushi,
great,
and Jun Akiyama, and they go to Australia. They fight Public Enemy. They go to Animal goes to WCW with a bit of a run,
which is so funny. When I read that, I go, I don't remember it. I had to look it up, and I go, oh, I remember it now.
Yeah, and Hawk was
he was Scott Steiner's.
Hawk was totally off the rails. They did briefly team with TNA.
Yes,
for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
they saved America's Most Wanted.
Yeah,
and then Hawk found God.
Yeah. Well, actually, Hawk and Animal and 2001 became born agains. Yeah. Which is good. Listen, especially for Hawk's case, it was a really good thing. Elongated his life, at least for that point, and and then, like I said, got him on track. And then come 2002, 2003, they had that one-off with
the
Kane again.
Kane and Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, they had that one
That
off
was May of 2003,
where they huge
pop,
huge reaction.
Yeah.
And and it just shows you, and if there's anything to be taken from this, it's that at least Animal. I don't know if Hawk maybe ever realized, like we were saying it before, about you take a step back and take it in what's going on. I'm sure Animals
we'll get into it, Ham. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I'm sure Animals had a few of those. But like Hawk never, in my opinion, probably never really had the chance to, because he was just living life, as it was. He was married at the time. At this time was married, found the love of his life, and died tragically. And not in a tragic way where he did it to himself. It was just like, Animal says it, like everything was in line, everything was in order, and he goes, I can go now. Like it was I guess he was just a man that just kind of figured it out. Excuse me. And so he died in October of 2003. And which is a shame. I think they wanted something from that WWF run. They wanted something to happen, and they just never bid on it. But and then I think the success of the DVD that came out in 2004, because I remember getting a DVD, and the success of that led to Animals. Well, not single run. It should have been a single run.
Comes back in 2005, teams up with Heidenreich. And they become the new world, and they win the tag team titles. And then they made Heidenreich officially part of LOD with the whole Spike thing. Nothing against Heidenreich, but I was just, at this point, I was disconnected. I couldn't do it. Then they were on SmackDown for a little while. It was like, and then Animal goes back to he goes to All Japan and gets Kensuke Sasaki.
I never knew this.
The Hell Warriors. Yeah.
I never knew this.
Yes.
I read that and I just go, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
To me, that is awesome. You talk about a full circle thing. And like I said, now he became a warrior animal, and
they wrestled in Mexico, and
they were and fairly successful, for all things considered.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a run.
And then Animal just he's been in the business now 20-something years.
Yep.
And there's only so much that he can do. And at this point, I think he was mildly retired.
Well, in 2014, Kensuke Sasaki retired.
Yeah.
So, and then...
Well, I think they went in the Hall of Fame in 11.
In 11.
Yeah.
So Animal was still active at that point.
Yeah.
Paul Ellering wasn't, though. Ellering was just, he stayed back. But, yeah, they went in April of 2011.
Yeah,
they get into the Hall of Fame, and then their speeches. I just played their speeches this morning again. I was like, it's pretty cool.
It was good. It was, I felt like, it's just my opinion. I felt like Animal was using it as like a. I just want it seemed like Animal always wanted that job with WWE. I'm not talking about like his brother type job, like in the office. Like I think he wanted to be a trainer of some sort, and at least something to of that nature.
My son said, "No, Heidenreich was the best LOD member, not including Animal and Hawk." Tell him, Paul. well. Heidenreich was better than Droz.
Yes,
Droz had a better look.
Droz had a way better
Heidenreich
look.
was a better worker, I thought, but
not by much.
Not by much, no.
Yeah, he's a better worker now.
Yeah.
But he
Droz is in a wheelchair.
Well, he's a better worker than Droz now. Obviously.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I would say ring the bell, Chop, but
yeah, Choppy's not him.
Dang,
that's Choppy's gimmick.
But to me. Well deserved, and that's where that moment, like we were saying about taking it in, like you could see the sheer joy on Animal Paul Ellering is a hard guy to read.
Smart dude.
Smart guy. And to me, like, well, I'll get to that later when we talk about Ellering, but you can see, to me, it just seemed like he was vying for a job with WWE. It is kind of a shame. I'm sure he did some kind of guest spots at the PC or something, maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating with that, but it seemed like there was a little bit of I guess some sort of dissension between him and the E, because I didn't even realize that he was part of the come 16 or 17. He was part of the lawsuit with the WWE with
but
which that kind of like but Demolition the same thing.
Yeah, but then they brought Paul back to manage the AOP, which was fucking
huge.
brilliant.
Yeah,
I love
great
it.
idea.
You can ask all the boys, ask Choppy, ask Rob, ask Lean. I popped so
Yeah.
hard for that, man. I was so invested that I called them the Goon Squad.
Yeah.
And Ellering was like just old school. I'm like, this is amazing.
But one thing I have to say that I mean, listen, I learned quite a few things. But one thing I did learn is that Animal was more than just a body guy.
Mikey just sent me.
He was a guy.
My son just sent me. Lunatic.
Animal was he was more he was as the time went on,
good snap. Yeah,
he had the idea, he had the right psychology for the business, and I think that's something if you look at it on paper, you wouldn't think that. At least in my opinion. Like, I didn't think of it maybe before this week. I'm not sure, but he was a guy that was it was a right place, right time, but also he knew how to adapt and how to make himself better and how to excel. He was a worker. He knew what to do, how to do it, and like I said, their matches weren't long, but man, were they fucking impactful.
And coming full circle, obviously, Animal died on Wednesday the 22nd of 60 years old, and pretty much reformed the Legion of Doom. Well, without Paul Ellering, but there will never be another team successful. The Dudleys, title wise, were more successful. The Steiners were more technical, but there was never more impactful
impact.
team.
Yes,
there will never be another team as innovative as the Road Warriors.
It was funny because that was going to be like the main question I was going to ask was going to be, the Dudleys, yes, titles wise. I mean, now listen, the modern era. This is like this. You can go down a whole other rabbit hole with this shit, but the modern era, like Ric Flair's 16 titles means something. I'm not saying Randy Orton's 14 doesn't mean
or
something.
John Cena's 16.
Yeah, but
Triple H.
But for some reason, Ric Flair's 16, even though we all know
because he
it's
won
more.
the first dozen, like in not flippy floppy.
Yes,
Right.
because and granted, we all know Ric Flair has more. It's in the 20s, but regardless, the 16 means something. And I think the Dudleys, it was a little bit more. Like you said, flip-flop, back and forth.
Right.
The Road Warriors just went into a territory, just got over. And granted, it's fixed, choreographed.
What do you mean it's all choreographed?
What do you mean it's not real? I didn't know. Wait, it's fake? I didn't know. Wait.
What the fuck is Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've done the conversation.
And but these guys, it shows you at this time how massively over they were. They went everywhere. They won titles everywhere. Multiple countries, even fucking times 10 fucking promotions. These guys were stars. They were main event stars as tag teams. And this is what I was going to say. Like, to me, I probably never even put much thought of it until this week, where I'm gonna say, like, hands down, and I'm not even saying it because because Animal passed away this week. When you think about it, collectively, they are really the greatest tag team that's ever happened.
100%.
You know, and it's funny because I was listening to I heard Cornette say, he didn't say something. I don't know if he said it this week. I don't think he said it this week. I think he said it a
He's
while
still
ago.
worried about his lawsuit against Joey Janela. The new Midnight Express.
He said something, which I looked into it. I think they, through the drive-through a month ago, a year ago, whatever it was. They asked him who's, the Road Warriors. Like, how do you consider them? Are they considered the greatest tag team? And he said, Impact, yes, but box office, no. Argentina Rocca and Miguel Perez from the fucking 60s. Box office wise,
that's because he's a historian.
But to us, the
Road Warriors,
the lay person, in my opinion, yes, the legacy of them is these guys. They did it their way. They came in every promotion.
In as champions.
They came in.
They went out as champions.
And like I said, they were a guy. These were guys that they could work. I mean, they weren't fast on their feet, but Hawk can drive. Animal threw drop kicks. I seen a great match with Tenta and I think it was Tenta and Saruda against the Road Warriors, and Hawk threw a drop kick at Tenta. Tenta threw a drop kick at Hawk. Both of them no sold it. Like, it's just like in Japan, this shit's amazing.
Right, exactly.
But like I said, in your opinion, you're the Road Warriors guy. What's their legacy?
Their legacy is trend setting.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, the look, the work rate, the impact they've had on each territory.
They had to be the first people to wear paint, correct?
I don't know. I'm gonna say I thought Kabuki wore paint before them. I thought the Great Kabuki had paint. That's I have to look that up. But they were the first tag team to main event. Territories. They were the first tag team to draw fans, not
draw houses. Yeah,
right. They were the first to do it, and that's their legacy, is trend setting. I mean, there was nothing like them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to talk about the powers of pain, demolition, whatever, the Pretenders to the Throne, I don't see it. You don't see it. There was different. You couldn't, like, the pop.
Yeah.
Michael Hayes talked about Animal was with these guys in the back.
They were ripping on the square.
Yeah, we know. We know. Like, they go out there, they try to follow that up.
But it's funny because, like, you hear Hayes say that, and then you just go, you shouldn't have to say that. But you got to remember, in '85, these guys are still fucking green. These guys are, I mean,
They're only
granted,
2 years in.
So, like, the fact that if they're saying, "Hey, did you hear that pop?" Like, they're just trying to figure it out for themselves. And I don't want to. I really want to kind of like put over Ellering here. Ellering is the dark horse. He's the straw that stirs the drink.
He's the brains.
He was, and especially the fact of that he did all this behind the scenes stuff. And I'm not even talking about just reservations, all this stuff, hotels, flights,
matches.
I'm talking about I'm even talking about shit outside the ring. I know Animal
finances.
He had them guys. This is what you need to do.
You maybe go into buying that gym or invest in this Zubaz company.
But make sure, like, you can invest in this, but
and
hey,
make sure you get a piece of this. Yeah.
And then, but make sure that you literally have to, you got to make sure that you have, solidified, and he had them invest in the stock market and everything. To me, the definition of a manager is Paul Ellering, because he literally did it all for these guys. And to me, I think it goes back to what I keep saying, is it was a perfect storm of timing.
Yeah.
Because they came in, These guys didn't know, how to do it. Like I said, Eddie Sharkey taught these guys, never got in a ring with them. And all of a sudden, Animal goes, wait, this is a work? Like he thought it was going to go in there and beat the snot out of people. And Ellering taught these guys from the bottom up. This is what you do. This is how you get it over.
You do it, yeah.
And that's how that is the success rate right there. And that's the measuring stick.
Yes.
These guys went around. They started in the Southeast. They went to the Northwest. They went back to the Southeast. They went to fucking Far East in Japan. They would go to the fucking Down Under, England, wherever they fucking went. These guys were massively over. And like you said, trendsetters, trailblazers, I think is the perfect word to say it.
There will be another team. And for me, I mean, there were better tag teams as wrestling wise, but when it comes to it, I was never emotionally invested in a tag team more than I was Hawk and Animal. As much as I love Doc and Gory, as much as I love the Eliminators, as much as I love the British Bulldogs and Demolition and Stud and Bundy, I love them to death.
Yeah.
Brody and Hanson, or Kawada, Kabashi. There will never be another tag team as impactful as the Road Warriors.
No, I agree.
Legion of Doom. And Animal's passing is, I don't want to say tragic, but when you die at 60, but you left this legacy, like that's a huge legacy.
And that's what I was saying. Like at least what Hawk might have missed out on, Animal got.
Yeah,
Animal got that notoriety.
Right.
Come 2000. When was All In? 2018. 2018.
I was there for that when they brought Animal out.
When Animal comes out, and you're talking, you're this guy's 25 years removed.
That's
30,
hometown.
Yeah.
He was born in Chicago, raised in Minnesota.
35 years.
They brought the random, and the place went nuts, bro. There was 13,000 people.
And like I said, there. And it's, excuse me, that's how you know the impact. And like you can have that moment where you just go, oh, you know what? It was worth it.
Yeah, but if there was crowds now and they brought him out, it's like the Hogan thing when they brought Hogan back in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
like it's that pop. It's that nostalgia. You're gonna get that all the time. When Ellering came out with the AOP, they got cheered. They were heels.
Well, and like I said, because it's the right crowd.
It's Ellering.
If it was on Monday Night Raw, you wouldn't get the same reaction.
You might get the same pop for Ellering though. You might. You don't know. You might be right.
Yeah, I think Ellering is a little bit of the crowd.
Do you have anything? But
nonetheless, like to me, I think you're saying it right. Whereas it was the perfect thing, and at least it's tragic in a sense. Yes, because he was 60, he was young, and he's got his son James is in the end. He's got I think he just retired from the NFL.
Just retired, yeah.
And he has his own show on ESPN or maybe an ESPN affiliate, and and he did big things in the league, and he leaves behind. I think he had 3 kids. I'm assuming he's got grandkids. Like it's just he had a fairly successful
legacy
podcast. I want to say he had a fairly successful podcast.
He sells shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah, listen, it like you said, it's that realization that we're losing our childhood.
We are,
and that's a weird feeling to have.
It's a weird space. Man. It's a weird space
because I don't feel like I'm 10 years younger than you. I don't feel 35, but you start seeing this, and that's the mortality rate. You go, ooh, shit is real.
It's real and very sad. So I'm glad we got to do this. Anything else before you?
No, I listen. I don't think my Road Warriors watching days are done because I'm still watching some stuff from Japan.
This won't be the first Road Warriors episode. We've done a few of them already.
And rest in peace. He leaves behind a great, probably like I said, arguably the greatest legacy. And there's is there room for debate? Yes, but you cannot deny the impact.
Listen, There, like I said, there will never be another team
Nope.
as big as the Road Warriors. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. So this episode goes out to the legacy of, Joe Animal, Laurinaitis, but more importantly, the Road Warriors,
Absolutely.
they're reunited now in
They are.
in the heavenly wrestling ring up there.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you guys so much.
And continue all the gimmicks. Click on the links. Show will be up tomorrow, maybe later on tonight. And we'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. October's here already. All right? And pretty much it, man. Just, all the gimmicks. Hit us up. Thank you to everybody. And again, congrats to the Wizards on 500 episodes.
Yes, absolutely.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. Nailed the ending.